Chapter 409, God of Time. The God of Time. Thump. The Heavenly Venerable of Time. As soon as I hear those words, a chill runs through my entire body, and I feel my soul tremble. Then, I immediately bow before the Heavenly Venerable of Time. Excellent. You know your manners, Dash. Right after that, I immediately swing the all-heavens sword at the Heavenly Venerable of Time's face. Shuckwhack, kugwagwagwang. Along with the God of Time's body, the entire pavilion is cut in half. What is the meaning of this? The Heavenly Venerable of Time asks with a faint smile. I also smile weakly as I lift the all-heavens sword. I thought the great God was descending upon me at trial. Was I mistaken? The reason I immediately cut down the Heavenly Venerable of Time. No, the reason I cut down the body of that incarnation is simple. TSTSTSTSTSTSS. My body is gradually becoming younger. At the same time, the body of the Heavenly Venerable of Time's incarnation is slowly aging. What does this mean? The Heavenly Venerable of Time, through some method, is reversing the time of my physical body. Well, if that's all, it wouldn't have mattered. The real problem is that the Heavenly Venerable of Time is also reversing my memory. If not for the canvas of myriad forms and connections, I might have entirely forgotten the tens of thousands of years of suffering I endured in the new heavenly domain. A trial, you say? I only intended to give you relief. How can forgetting one's memories be considered a relief? You seem to be struggling due to the pain of past years, so I tried my hand. Did it not please you? It's only then that I realized the answer to why the Heavenly Venerable summoned me, after making me wander for 100,000 years. My memories are precious to me. Indeed, the 100,000 years have been so long, so horrifying, and so lonely. But that is also part of my life. Those years were filled with pain, but it's because of those years of suffering that the pain and despair of that day have weathered away enough to shape who I am today. The time that has passed was hard, but I don't regret it. I bow my head to the Heavenly Venerable. Thank you for enlightening me. Haha, it's fortunate that you finally understand. I'm about to apologize for cutting down the Heavenly Venerable's body. But just then, TSTSTSTSTSTS, I realized that my time is once again reversing. My physical body is becoming younger, and my memories are fading. The cultivation of my physical body is declining as well. If not for the canvas of myriad forms and connections, I won't have even realized that I am losing my memories. I look at the Heavenly Venerable and ask, is this lowly one being punished for damaging the Heavenly Venerable's body? No. Then why are you doing this? The God of Time does not answer. Instead, he points at me, and the speed at which my body grows younger and my memories disappear accelerates. My cultivation is gradually decreasing. Memories are slipping away. I can feel the memories of the past 190,000 years draining out of my upper dantian in an instant. I furrow my eyebrows. Oh, Heavenly Venerable, please quell your anger. However, despite my plea, he doesn't so much as twitch an eyebrow and continues to reverse my time even faster. Finally, I feel even the memories of my comrades being attacked by the owner of Great Mountain begin to fade. And so, I close my eyes and once again swing the all-heavens sword. Boom, kuwum. The pavilion shakes as the incarnation of the Heavenly Venerable of Time is once again cut down. Why are you doing this? Please, I humbly ask to stop testing me. But nothing changes. The Heavenly Venerable of Time instantly regenerates his body and continues reversing my time. In the end, I glare at the Heavenly Venerable and growl. No matter if you are the Heavenly Venerable of Time, I cannot allow you to reduce my life to nothingness. Stop immediately. It's scattering. It's vanishing. Even though my body is becoming younger, my memories, grudges, sadness, happiness, despair, and hopes, all those joy, anger, sorrow, pleasure, love, hate, and desire, all those scenes filled with emotion, everything is disappearing from my mind. If not for the canvas of myriad forms and connections outside, I wouldn't even be aware of it. I grit my teeth and shout, stop immediately. Shukong. Once again, I cut down the incarnation of the Heavenly Venerable of Time. I fear the opponent before me. I don't know if he could capture me and set 1 second to last an eternity, torturing me for infinite time. Having seen the God of Great Mountain collapse the universe, I can't even imagine the limits of these beings. But even so, for the human named Seo Eun-hyun, the time I've spent until now is far too precious. No matter if the opponent is a god, I can never forgive anyone who would reverse my life and erase it as if it never existed. With my eyes rolled back, I wildly swing the all-heavens sword. Kugugugugu. The pavilion crumbles. The world cracks. But as time passes, my cultivation continues to decrease. The only thing that doesn't fade is the level of martial arts maintained by the enlightenment held within the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Stop this at once. The years spent in the ancient force realm. The memories with the Wuji religious order. The countless recollections that formed after falling into the nether ghost realm. The time I joined the Grand Cultivator Association and became a Grand Cultivator. The moments when I faced Han 1 and Co Huiol, using the power of Salt Mountain. They are all gradually collapsing. And the leakage of memories continues to the very beginning of this cycle. See, could it be? If this keeps up, will I lose the memories from the previous regression as well? Just as I think so. Then, Passat. According to the sequence of time I am experiencing, the memories from right before regressing to the start of the 19th cycle, and those of the 18th cycle, should have disappeared. But they don't. Instead, the memories begin to be erased in roughly the spatial sequence from when John Myung-hoon and I ascended. The memory of ascending with John Myung-hoon in the 17th cycle disappears. The memory of blocking the owner of Heavenly Punishment's Heavenly Tribulation disappears. But, Wu Wong, the memory of meeting and talking with Yang Sujin's remnant at Shattered Heaven Peak does not fade away. As if that memory is untouchable, even by the Heavenly Venerable of Time. My memories and cultivation continue to diminish, until I eventually return to the time of the first cycle, when I was just a second-rate martial artist. And eventually, to the starting point of the first cycle, the events at Ascension Path, the confusion I felt upon opening my eyes there. And finally, Sutsutsu. Huh, what's this? There's a memory that's completely white. I can't quite tell what it is. Then, the body of the Heavenly Venerable of Time suddenly explodes. Puckwhack. No, it isn't just his body. The entire pavilion he has summoned shatters abruptly, and we are returned to the throne of the galaxy where we had originally been. Gugu. But that isn't the real issue. Pure white light. Light is boiling in all directions, and the entire region that seems to belong to the Heavenly Venerable of Time is violently shaking. With my body that is now no different from a mortal's, I try to resist through the All-Heaven Sword, but I can't do anything. The white memory also doesn't completely vanish from my mind. Instead, time continues to reverse. The day we were heading to a workshop in an SUV. The time John Myung-hoon handed his work over to me. The events at the company. University, military service, the beginning of university, high school, middle school, elementary school, kindergarten, and even infancy. I have even forgotten how to connect myself to the colorless glass sword. Oh, but what is the colorless glass sword? Baba, ABA. The world is bright. It's nice. A bit cold. I think I wet myself. I'm hungry. Mom, Dad. I want milk. It's warm. I will soon enter the world. Mom's love flows into me through the cord in my belly. I have to leave Mom's belly soon. Thump, 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 thump. Payarat. 3. I am, connected to the colorless glass sword. I don't remember anything. The memories of my physical body regressed to the level of a fetus, even before the formation of sperm and egg, and completely returned to nothingness. Woo. However, I still have the colorless glass sword. For a moment, I lost hold of the colorless glass sword. But at this very moment, my physical body has completely disappeared, and the only thing that remains is my natal Dharma treasure linked to my soul, the colorless glass sword. My memories contained within the colorless glass sword, within the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Yes, this is what proves my existence. The brilliant history embedded in my sword. That is what proves me. In this moment, I am the colorless glass sword. Co Unhyun. I become the sword. A sword that can cut and sever everything, but cannot sever itself. That dull sword. Inside the colorless glass sword, I gather the will of my entire life and unleash an all-encompassing strike of seated detachment, standing oblivion. Within the colorless glass sword, I channel my lifelong will and squeeze out everything from seated detachment, entering hope, unleashing an all-encompassing single strike. Perhaps the incarnation of the Heavenly Venerable of Time has vanished, as he is nowhere to be seen. This world, densely packed with galaxies and overflowing with light, makes it impossible to discern where anything is. But I don't care, and I cut. The colorless glass sword, the all-heavens sword, and my will, all connect as one. Cut. Pat it. My life. My history. The canvas of myriad forms and connections, which contains all of that, emits mist, forming the three great ultimates. Within the three great ultimates, I become a single sword, ready to sever the entire world with one single strike. A move that is still incomplete, only slightly more refined. This single strike, with only the makeshift name accumulation, G, divides the entire world. My accumulated history. Hence, the single strike named accumulation. I absolutely cannot allow it to disappear. However, it seems that it isn't enough, as nothing happens. There appears to be a slight crack in the space, but that's all. The Heavenly Venerable of Time doesn't seem particularly affected by that minuscule crack. Nevertheless, without care, I unhesitatingly perform the sword move from beginning to end. I know I can't inflict any significant damage anyway. So, I can only do everything I can. And at the last moment of my sword move, at that final instant, I feel something catch on the tip of my sword. In the next moment, snap. Unpleasantly, I am back to where I started. So are the surroundings. The heavenly venerable of time and I are both back in the pavilion where we originally were. Why did you do this? Misfortune, is essentially pain. He laughs, drinking tea that has appeared from somewhere. To return that to you, there was no other way but to do so with pain. I look at the tip of my sword. The last fragment of the colorless glass sword has returned to the tip of my blade. The canvas of myriad forms and connections is restored once more. For the first time in 190,000 years, I let out a sigh of relief and collapse into my seat. Thank you. Honestly, I don't trust the heavenly venerable of time. He claims to have returned the colorless glass sword to me along with misfortune, but there is undoubtedly another purpose behind it. Without hesitation, I question him. However, aside from expressing my gratitude, was it truly to return my possession? Indeed. Of course, there was another purpose. What was it? He grins. If I tell you, will you even be able to listen? Well, considering you're a madman crazy enough to swing your sword even within my authority, I suppose you wouldn't go insane. The heavenly venerable of time nods and immediately begins to speak. I try to gaze directly at the owner of light. Since their main body is surely beyond, if I can just find those coordinates, I might be able to become like them. What did rewinding my time have to do with the owner of light suddenly being mentioned? However, despite it seeming like insignificant information, I soon realized that my soul, domain, and physical body are vaporizing into light. Snap! The heavenly venerable of time snaps his fingers, and my body returns to normal, leaving me in utter confusion. What's this? I didn't even confront the governing immortal directly, just heard a few lines of information, but why? Why did my body suddenly start to dissipate? The heavenly venerable of time smiles bitterly and sips his tea. In the end, I couldn't find them. As expected, they're thorough from beginning to end. I want to ask more, but choose not to. Just hearing a few lines of information nearly dissolved my body. If I learn more details, I might be cursed even beyond regression, just like when I looked directly at the owner of heavenly punishment. Instead, I changed the question. What exactly is it that you want from me? It's the question I most want to know. The heavenly venerable of time takes another sip of tea, and then, in the next moment, his body suddenly begins to decay rapidly. His body, not just wrinkled, but completely oozing with pus and rotting away, turns into a decayed corpse. His clothes suddenly deteriorate into rags, and his tea turns into foul, rotten water. The pavilion that was the once idyllic peach garden paradise we were in becomes a ruin. It's as if time accelerated, aging everything to ruin. Drip drop. His eyes completely rotted away, leaving only the hollow void in the eye sockets of the heavenly venerable of time. Slurp. The corpse, now a decayed husk, sips the rotten water and speaks. What I want is meaningless. What you desire is far more important. Pardon. Thud, thud. His flesh begins to fall off in pieces. We don't have very much to offer you. A few lines of information, at best. But with that, we can never directly interfere with the story. We would remain a supporting character for life. Even if we wanted to give you something, everything we offer ends up distorted and twisted. But, you see, the decaying figure smiles. If we were to make an enormous sacrifice ourselves, it's possible to give you a very small and insignificant gift. I intend to give you a gift. What kind of gift are you speaking of? Thud, thud, thud. Finally, half of the flesh on his face has fallen off. He now has the head of a half-exposed skull. You. The corpse smiles. Perhaps because his vocal cords have decayed, his words turn into mental speech. And then, as the heavenly venerable of time continues, I feel a chill run down my spine. Wouldn't you like to return to that time? To the moment just before all your cherished people were slaughtered by the great mountain supreme deity. Shudder, shudder. I tremble. Is it fear of the heavenly venerable of time's authority, which can turn back time? Is it confusion over whether he knows about my regression or not? Is it because I can't understand what tricks he might be up to? No. This is anticipation. At the same time, a powerful yearning. I am fully aware that the heavenly venerable of time before me is undoubtedly suspicious. He might be planning on doing something with my regression. However, despite that, shudder, shooter, 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 shooter. I feel my entire body tremble with an intense yearning. For 100,000 years. No, for even longer than that. I spent my entire life yearning for them. Inside that loneliness. If I were to use my own regression, it will ultimately be before I enter the bright cold realm. If that happens, all the connections I had built up will be completely nullified. But if it's as he says, I will be returning to the time when those connections still exist. I feel like I'm going insane. I feel like I'm going insane. This is a temptation that I absolutely cannot refuse. It's a forbidden fruit that, even knowing it's poisoned, I cannot help but bring to my lips. In the end, I finally voice my desire. I want to go. Drip. A single tear falls down my cheek. The heavenly venerable of time, whose body has now fully begun to weather away, smiles. I can send you. Drip, drip. From the tip of the chin, droplets gather and fall one by one. My body trembles uncontrollably. My chest is swelling with emotion, and I can't endure it. But for the great sacrifice I'll make for interfering with you, I should receive something in return. What is it? What do you want? Let's make a contract with me. Swish. He raises a finger. The flesh of his finger completely erodes away as I watch, leaving behind bare bones. Even the bones are gradually weathering before my eyes. No, it isn't just the bones. The entire world itself is weathering. It's strange. With his authority, he should be able to converse with me in a perfectly intact state. So why is this happening? It's as if he can't stop the weathering that is currently occurring. As if time is spiraling out of control. Do you know what your fate is? Every time he speaks, the rate of weathering increases. Time is running wildly. Even his skeletal remains are now crumbling. The pavilion has turned to ashes, and the paradise around us has become a handful of sand. Even space itself seems to be collapsing. And, within that crumbling world, I shake my head. I do not. There were Yang Sujin's words, but even despite that, I don't know what my fate is, so I have no fate to reveal to him. But his next words calm my wildly beating heart, if only a little. Then, make a contract with me. When the day comes that you realize your fate, whisper it only to me. I will never reveal it to anyone else, only me. And in return, I will sacrifice much of my authority to send you back to that time. Swish. The incarnation of the heavenly venerable of time completely weathers away and vanishes, and from the pile of dust, a single black piece of paper floats toward me. That paper, which for some reason radiates an auspicious light, is the black ancient paper, Shangudru. Translator notes, what about no chapter tomorrow? LOL. Chapter 410, Regressor, Weiguja. Flutter, 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 flutter. The black ancient paper flutters in the wind before my eyes. I stare blankly at the contract written on the black ancient paper. The heavenly venerable of time will rewind my time to before my comrades were slaughtered, and in return, I will reveal my fate to the heavenly venerable of time when I realize it. I can return. To that time. To the time when I had not yet lost my connections. I tremble in the ashen world. The idea of returning doesn't evoke any emotion in me, but the power of the heavenly venerable of time means that my regression point itself will be fixed. It will fix the uncontrollable death regression time. Thump, thump. I clutch my trembling heart. I understand. I can never refuse this offer. My vision blurs. I am someone who has lived for 190,000 years. I am someone who thought I tempered myself in pain and nothingness. Now that the star-shattering stage is just ahead, I am someone who thought has become stronger than ever. But now, I finally understand. From the tips of my fingers to the deepest depths of my chest, I tremble. And from that tremor, and the tears that flow from it, I understand. Humans, no matter how strong or weak, in the face of hope, they are beings that become so very fragile. Both my words and Yunwei's were wrong. This world is neither filled with hope nor only with despair. Hope itself is the sweetest despair. How many times have I wished for this? Again and again, time after time, I have imagined myself returning to my comrade's side. See, can I really return? I prostrate myself. I bow. No, if he was human, I would have been willing to lick his feet. Even if he wasn't a human but a beast, it wouldn't have mattered. Can I? Can I really return to that time? With bloodshot eyes, I ask with a desperation that could never be repeated. And the answer comes. Indeed, deeing. From somewhere it rings. The sound of a giant Brahma bell echoes throughout the heavenly domain. Puhak. At the same time, something rises from beneath my feet, and something descends from above. In an instant, it's as if heaven and earth are being split in two. Quong. It's a giant compass. No, it also resembles a sundial. At the same time, it looks like some kind of device that marks the celestial bodies of the universe. It's a compass that calculates the bearings and coordinates of the universe, a clock that measures time through light, and the essence gob of the calendar method, Lifa, that determines the calendar of heaven, earth, and all phenomena. It's as if all things in the universe and the starlight of the cosmos are converging on the center of this bizarre, yet sacred structure. Before conversing with the heavenly venerable of time, I briefly recall the throne of galaxy I saw. Kugagugum. In hindsight, it wasn't a throne. It's merely one of the countless axes of the celestial globe formed by the river of stars. Puhak. My eyes burst, and blood pours down. Jying. My head is ringing. At the shock that feels as if my brain is going to shut down, I tremble uncontrollably with my mouth clamped shut. Pasasasa. Before me, the ashes that formed from the now-weathered peach blossoms spring paradise clump together, and the heavenly venerable of time returns to his human form. The human figure briefly gazes at me, then bows towards somewhere. Ah, Ag. Now, I finally understand. Pod. The human form of the heavenly venerable of time. In an instant, it transforms into the South Polar Compass and is then absorbed into the gigantic structure before me. The being I have been conversing with until now is not the heavenly venerable of time. Isn't it absurd from the start? If he is the heavenly venerable of time, does it make any sense that the main body of the heavenly venerable of time has been carrying me around on his back throughout all the corners of the universe for 190,000 years to open my star-vein eye? Starlight begins to gradually fill the structure. My head explodes, and my brain matter spills out. However, even so, I cannot die. My time is fixed here, as if I can never proceed beyond death, even if my domain, soul, and consciousness all shatter. At the same time, I am able to understand about the being I have been conversing with until just now, about the being who introduced himself to me as the heavenly venerable of time and tested me. It is not the heavenly venerable of time. I recall the words of Jean Mayol, that the heavenly craftsman created an immortal treasure for the god of calendar to contain the being's strength. Indeed, the being I have been conversing with until now is the immortal treasure, Shanbak, of the heavenly venerable of time. A proxy of a god. No, to be exact, it's merely an incarnation of the proxy. I have never once spoken directly with the heavenly venerable of time. I have only discussed a contract with the incarnation of their proxy, as I cling to it. Finally, the proxy of the heavenly venerable. The god's immortal treasure reveals its true form. Jying. My head hurts. Clang, clang, clang. The moment I gaze upon its true form, I am struck once again with the impact that feels as if my very domain is collapsing. Its true form is a celestial globe forged from the river of stars, a vessel capable of containing an entire heavenly domain. Knowledge, along with a name, flows into my mind. The immortal treasure, Shanbak, of the god of time. The southern polar ritual treasure, Nanjibai, Yang-sung, Lingsheng. Unable to die, with my upper body completely obliterated and only my soul remaining, I kneel and scream in despair before the majesty of Yang-sung Cheng. Keying, gazing upon it, countless possibilities of time flow into my mind. Failing to follow Kim Young-hoon, the possibility of spending 1,000 years researching soap and reaching the pinnacle of soap. Surrendering to Yuan Li and becoming his disciple, the possibility of ascending to the blood-ean realm, then invading the bright cold realm, tearing out and eating Kong Mini's heart to advance to the star-shattering stage. Or after believing that the immortal treasure of the god of time is actually the heavenly venerable of time until the very end, the possibility of being mocked until the very end and eventually being forced to stamp the contract under the threat of the immortal treasure, leading to my 20th return. Countless possibilities flow before me. But those aren't what's important. What's terrifying are the symbols, etched on Yang-sung's path. Black snake biting its tail. Mountain, San, exuding darkness. Taiji in the shape of a fetus. Black sun, bird trapped in a cage. Sun and moon pair of eyes. Lightning spear, white wheel. 6 interconnected stars. Transparent seed. Blackened 3 great ultimates. 11 symbols in total are engraved in a grand scale. Some of them are shining brightly, but the black snake and sun and moon eyes do not emit any light. And although the lightning spear and fetus are glowing, their light is extremely faint. Pasasasasa. The world seems to be turning white. Through this symbol, that being beyond is watching me. The owner of Great Mountain is observing me through the mark of the mountain, San. Are you there? With that will, the gaze that is upon me vanishes. But I can tell. My entire body breaks out in chills. They are coming. Deeing. Once again, the sound of the Brahma bell echoes throughout the entire universe. It's a sound originating from the center of the structure before me, from where the starlight is converging. TSTS. The elderly figure appears before me once again. But this is not the same old man who appeared earlier. With light and shadow rotating around its entire body, it's something trying to clumsily mimic a human. The body of something mimicking a human twists. It looks as though an existence beyond mortality is awkwardly adjusting its form to communicate with a mere mortal like me. The incarnation of the immortal treasure that has been conversing with me just moments ago, the South Polar Compass. I realize that it's now ceasing to reveal itself as an incarnation, and instead is preparing to converse with me as the main body of the immortal treasure Yang-sung. On behalf of the Lord, I shall ask you. It asks, will you make the contract with the Lord? Pat it. My body reverses once more. My body and domain. which gazed upon the fragments of distant existences, is beginning to recover as if time is turning back. I want to go insane. No, I want to lose my mind, drooling saliva, and sob uncontrollably. But I can't. The being before me is forbidding even that, and is forcing me to answer. I. With my entire body trembling, I weep. I must answer. I must answer. Isn't the great one before me waiting for an answer? And then, it happens. Threeing. Once again, something resonates. And I understand. This is not a headache ringing in my head. Rather, it's something resonating deep within my chest. That's right, this is... It's the colorless glass sword I have harmonized with for 190,000 years. A wave coming from somewhere connected to that colorless glass sword. That wave is awakening my mind. When the wave reaches its peak, I can momentarily see a vision. It's a woman in white stroking a jade-colored deer. No, I am mistaken. What she is stroking is a jade-colored Naraigi. She looks at me and says something. Was what I just gave you also a curse? The memory of that moment soaks my chest. With that, I snap awake. For some reason, the overwhelming presence of Yang Song, who is intimidating me, no longer seems to matter. Oh, Great One, speak. The Great One said if I make the contract, you will turn back time, correct? That is correct. One thing, may this lowly one inquire? I bow and prostrate myself before it. If time were to return, and I were to meet those comrades from that time, will they be the ones I long for? Please grant me the answer. It does not respond. From its silence, I can be certain. I already knew. It's something I have known for a long time. It's a fact I have learned from repeatedly returning back in time. No matter how many times time reverses, I can never return to the time I wish for. An ironic paradox. There is a person who lost someone they love. They regress and arrive at the point just before losing their loved one. But is the one they lost and the one they loved truly the same being? Absolutely not. The one who returned was together with the one they lost until their death, but the one they loved after returning is someone who has not experienced their own death. In other words, unless the one they lost also regresses together with the one who returned, no matter how many times the regressor returns, they can never meet the one they seek. Even if it is just a matter of seconds difference between whether they were slaughtered or not, as in the proposal from the immortal treasure before me, the result is the same. I think of Kim Young-hoon, who resisted until the very end. I think of Bu Kyung-hwa, who sought Kim Yun and also sought my help. I think of Oh Hyun-suk, who died without even being able to hurl swears. I think of Seo Ran, who was devoured so absurdly and pointlessly. And I think of my dear friend, who promised to watch over me as long as I remember him. If I were to return to the past, I would be returning to a time before they met those ends. In that case, just how am I supposed to remember their final moments? Does that mean they couldn't be with me in their final moments? Indeed, it's a matter of just a few seconds. No, even a difference of 1 second is the same. The being 1 second later is inevitably different from the being 1 second earlier. Because I am so painfully aware of this more than anyone else, I had to let her go. Because I am so painfully aware of this more than anyone else, I couldn't bring myself to ask the one I loved so dearly to come with me, and could only leave her with an Naraigi. If you truly wish to send me back, then send all my comrades back as well. If not, I will not enter into any contract with you. Only now do I understand. Thanks to the vibration of the colorless glass sword, no. Thanks to her, with whom I exchanged hearts, no. Thanks to all the connections that have taken root within me, I am able to realize this. Including Yang Sujin's words, all the connections I have accumulated until now are telling me. The time that has passed can never return, and the words spoken can never be taken back. In that case, neither the fate that has been uttered can be reversed. My fate is my fate, and my connections are my connections. And my time is my time. What is past has meaning in itself. No matter how painful it may be, I will accept it. I will not trade my time that has passed as an object of a transaction. I will not return to that time. After a brief pause, the solar pole's compass looking at me, Yang Sung speaks to me. That is not allowed. It's just as I am about to say something. Dang. I hear the third ring of the Brahma bell. Kwang. Yang Sung's main body begins to move. Countless trajectories and symbols on the celestial globe undergo myriad transformations as its orbit changes. I can feel it. Each time Yang Sang's main body moves, the star vein of the heavenly domain changes in real time. At the same time, Yang Sung, who has been considerately adjusting its level before me, reveals its full might once again. I once more go mad and wail, but I don't simply lose my mind. Threeing, holding the colorless glass sword, and with a desperate will, I manage to prevent myself from stamping the contract in front of me. I'm going to die now. That much is certain. It's only natural, given that I provoked a transcendent being. I don't leave out the possibility of being tortured for hundreds of millions of years before dying. But even so, this one thing I am sure of. I Even amidst the impact that feels as if my entire body is being crushed, I scream. I am not wrong. RTOC. I feel my arm being plucked off. Then, a colossal will forcibly takes my arm and stamps the black paper with it. The contract on the black paper has already changed at some point. By the authority of the servant of time, the ender is to be regressed by 1 gak, 15 minutes. As I see those words, I lose consciousness within a searing pain that turns my mind blank. A world shrouded in ashen dust clouds. There, an old man in white robes is wailing. Before his eyes, a black piece of paper flutters. The old man is howling within the dust cloud world, and moves as if obeying the meaning of a voice that resonates throughout the world. But at a certain moment, the old man ceases his howling, and with clear eyes, he speaks. I will not return. Within the dust clouds, the owner of the voice speaking to the old man falls silent for a moment before driving him to madness. In that state of madness, the old man is led to stamp the contract. But in the end, he does not stamp it. Eventually, the owner of the voice, who has taken the form of an elderly man's appearance, the god of time's immortal treasure, Yang-sung of the South Polar Compass, cuts the old man's hand and forces his seal onto the contract. The contents of the contract have already been changed at some point. By the authority of the servant of time, the ender is to be regressed by 1 gak. The old man dies, and Yang-sung's eyes glow. Dang! With the sound of the Brahma bell ringing, starting from the center of Yang-sung's main body, the sound of the universe's star vein changing echoes. Among the countless orbits and needles attached to Yang-sung's body, the needle labeled Reforming Calendar seems to glow red. Red, true, is essentially a cycle, Shinhua. As the countless star veins seem to cycle, the time within the space they occupy reverses in an instant. And the old man who just died comes back to life once again in wails. This time, Yang-sung tries with yet another method to persuade the old man. But in the end, the old man's eyes clear once more, and he rejects Yang-sung's offer. Time reverses again, and the cycle repeats. In the midst of it all, Yang-sung mutters with a solemn gaze. Keep refusing. Don't. The Brahma bell rings, and time within the domain of the heavenly venerable of time reverses. This is the Lord's domain. Within this place, we can repeat as many times as necessary. A certain madness seems to flicker in Yang-sung's eyes. For my Lord's safe return, I will do anything. Don't. Once again, from the center of the starlight within Yang-sung's body, the sound of the Brahma bell echoes. Time reverses once more, and this time, another attempt at persuasion is made. But the result is the same. At first, Seo Eun-hyun seems to cry and cling to Yang-sung, but soon he regains his senses and rejects its proposal. No matter how many times it repeats, the outcome is the same. Finally, when the number of small-scale regressions within the time domain reaches 100, only then does Yang-sung realize that something is wrong. It takes on the body of a mortal and glares at Seo Eun-hyun before it. What are you? Pardon. It sent the incarnation that is the South Polar Compass and observed Seo Eun-hyun by his side for 190,000 years, believing it has understood everything about him. To him, comrades are everything in life. In the eyes of the heavenly venerable of time's immortal treasure, Yang-sung, who has reached the pinnacle of the world, the person who can absolutely never reach the star-shattering stage is the one named Seo Eun-hyun. Unwilling to abandon anything, he is the very essence of a greedy person. But something is strange. The greedy person it observed for 190,000 years is, at the crucial moment, always acting in a way that deviates from its prediction. I will not return. 100 times. The time that has passed cannot return. 150 times. Even if you are the god of time. 300 times. A life that has already passed is, by itself. 500 times. By itself, already within me. 1,000 times. So, I will never go back. Over and over, sound, like a parrot, or like a record-playing magic artifact, keeps repeating. And it's around then that Yang-sung understands something. I see, you are receiving help from outside. Seo Eun-hyun isn't relying solely on his own strength. How dare a mere mortal hope to maintain his sanity in the presence of Yang-sung's rank, who borrows the power of the god of time? Someone, at every crucial moment, is assisting Seo Eun-hyun. Who is it? Yang-sung glares at Seo Eun-hyun. There's nothing out of the ordinary. Neither his domain, nor the Dharma treasure known as the colorless glass sword, nor his heart tribe abilities. There's nothing that seems peculiar. Nothing can be sensed. Literally, everything about Seo Eun-hyun is as colorless as his nature suggests. But it can tell. Incessantly trying different methods to persuade Seo Eun-hyun, only to be resisted every time, it understands. He is definitely not enduring solely with his own strength. Yang-sung tortures Seo Eun-hyun. Sometimes it gives pleasure, sometimes hope, and other times, it makes offers that are impossible to refuse. But each time, it is blocked. And each time, he repeats the same words. I will never return to that time. You. When all 5,000 attempts have failed, Yang Sung finally manages to grasp a clue. The colorless glass sword he overlooked. A seemingly insignificant sword that feels as if it's made of sand. The painting of the connections of all phenomena, Wanshang Yin Yuntu, contained with that sword. From within it, a wave connected to somewhere is flowing. Who are you? Yang Sung approaches Seo Un-hyun, who has become nothing more than minced flesh, and snatches the colorless glass sword. I know there are many entities clinging to this one, but this is the domain of the heavenly venerable. Cease your peering and begone at once. Dong. The sound of the Brahma bell echoes, and time begins to reverse. Clink, 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 clink. Yun Sung's main body rotates, weaving the star veins, and using that power to reverse the time within the domain. It intends to drive out the entity connected to the colorless glass. Crack. Yang Sung suddenly realizes that all phenomena within the time domain have momentarily come to a halt. Its complexion turns pale in an instant. The time domain has forcibly stopped, with a power that seems as if someone is violently gripping it. The orbit and needles that are about to reverse time comes to an enforced stop. It turns its gaze to the far edge of the time domain. Light should be watching, so how? No. After hesitating briefly, it quickly sends its incarnation, the South Polar Compass, to the edge of the time domain. The boundary of the heavenly domain. Past. Arriving at the edge of time through the South Polar Compass, it looks up at the entity who has halted its path from outside the domain of time. A colossal and tyrannical great mountain, Telsan, so vast it seems to crush the heavens and earth and the entire universe, enters before Yang Sung's eyes. Yang Sung transforms its incarnation into a human form and bows its head as respectfully as possible. O owner of Great Mountain, I understand what may have provoked thee. However, this is the domain of... Shut up. A voice that reverberates through heaven and earth spreads throughout the entire universe. Splitting Emperor. The next moment, even to the area where Yang Sung's main body resides, the time domain is torn apart and all things in heaven and earth are annihilated. Clink, 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 clink. The countless trajectories and orbits, needles, and symbols surrounding Yang Sung's main body, the South Polar ritual treasure, moves. The countless calendar signs float around Yang Sung, and the stars' veins resonate with the entire university. Flash. And with a single gesture from the being atop Great Mountain, half of Yang Sung's body is torn away. When my lord returns, you will not be forgiven. Despite having half of its body torn away, Yang Sung speaks emotionlessly to the Great Mountain that seems to crush the universe. And a response echoes from the direction of Great Mountain. Ah-ha-ha. Kik-kik-kik. Oh-ha-ha. It's not the voice of the mountain god. It's the scornful laughter emanating from the countless corpses and skulls, the faces of the dead, scattered all over Great Mountain. The countless skulls, corpses, and the dead collectively speak in unison, conveying the god of mountains' meaning with mockery. If you don't want to be stuck like heavenly punishment's immortal treasure and rot there for all eternity, they say to shut up. They say to shut up. They say to shut up. Ooh-ha-ha. Kik-kik-kik. Go-ha-ha. Ah-ha-ha. Far beyond the comparison to the wails from the deepest depths of hell, the spine-chilling clamor of the dead. Yang Sung watches the being as it quietly maneuvers the orbits encircling its body. Do you truly intend to wage war against time for all eternity? In the next moment, the remaining half of Yang Sung's body is torn away again, as if to say they have no intention of exchanging words with a being of a lower rank. As if to say, just shut up and step aside. The tyrannical devil god arrogantly looks down at Yang Sung. Yang Sung, in its incarnation, briefly looks up at the devil god. Beside that devil god, a small salt mountain is emitting a faint light. With just that, do you really believe you can evade the light? O arrogant god, you shall face regret. And with Yang Sung's words, the entire Great Mountain begins to overflow with crimson lava. No, that isn't lava. It's red blood, as hot as lava. Dong. The Brahma bell rings once more, and the domain of time trembles violently. The entire greater realm trembles from their clash. Dong. I don't know how many times it's been. Inside a pit of ash and dust in an unknown place, I ponder that the sound of the Brahma bell ringing in my ears is something I've heard many times before. What is it? A strange sense of incongruity sweeps over my entire body. It feels as if something has been repeated several times. Perhaps Yunwei felt this way when looking at me. Did many of those who were shocked upon seeing me feel like this? What's certain is, something is happening. For some reason, the voice of the heavenly venerable of time, who was conversing with me just a moment ago, can no longer be heard. I tightly grip the colorless glass sword and closes my eyes. Can I really go back? I should be able to. That is the god of time, the master of years, and the god of calendar as well. If it's such a being, surely they can send me back. But I feel, an emptiness in a part of my chest. O owner of time, please grant me the answer. Can you truly send me back to that time? I ask, feeling another emotion boiling up within me to cover that emptiness. And there's no response. Just a moment ago, the heavenly venerable of time, who was crumbling to ashes and speaking as if he can turn back my time at any moment, has suddenly gone silent. I gently touch my chest. The contract to reveal my fate is far too suspicious. Yang Sujin said I must not reveal even the slightest trace of my fate. And considering Yang Sujin words, who said there is only one being among the governing immortals that can be trusted, the heavenly venerable of time's proposal is terrifying. But I cannot refuse this offer. That is the human named Seo Eunhyun. Even if I were to someday realize my fate and reveal it to the heavenly venerable of time, leading to a miserable death like Yang Sujin. If only I could meet my comrades from that time today, I would not hesitate to reveal my fate. I want to meet them. Hong Fan, Buk Hyunghwa, Kim Yun, Kim Young-hoon, Kim Young-hoon, Seo Ran, John Myung-hoon, and others. I think of my friends one by one as they come to mind. For 190,000 years, I've been running around just to remember them. So how can I not want to see them again? If I can only see them once more. I clench my chest as I think of them. O owner of time, please answer. If it is truly certain that I can return, there's no need for hesitation. That's what I believe. But still, there's no reply from the sky clouded with dust. I wait for a moment. I wait for a shurchin. I wait for a day. Suddenly, as if the heavenly venerable of time vacated their seat, there's no response at all. I observe my body. The lifespan of this body has already ended. Only the heavenly venerable of time's authority is holding it together. Just how long does he intend to do this? He said he wanted to make a contract with me. But why isn't he saying anything? I wait for a long time. And when the heavenly venerable of time still does not respond, I pick up the colorless glass sword. If the heavenly venerable of time is going to abandon me, I thought I might as well refine the colorless glass sword during that time. June. As the colorless glass sword is refined within my Dan fire, the cracks that split it begin to mend. Hot. As the condition of the colorless glass sword recovers, it once again returns into my body within the small world. In that state, I begin refining the colorless glass sword once more. From now on, I will never lose it again. A Dharma treasure of the integration stage fully assimilates with the center of the domain. Wawung. As the colorless glass sword is refined within the Dan fire, it flows towards the center of the star. Finally, when it reaches the center of the star, I feel the chi of the colorless glass sword and my soul becoming one through the energy of the star. A Dharma treasure that is assimilated with the center of a domain at the integration stage is called a refining void Dharma treasure, Shifabak. Why is it called a Dharma treasure that refines the void? Shiu? Just like the phrase, 10,000 streams return to the origin, as one rises through the stages of cultivation, the boundaries between paths gradually start to blur. From the moment a Dharma treasure assimilates with the center of a domain, it becomes a conduit connected to the heart essence of the integration stage grand cultivator. From the integration stage onward, even the power of the heart tribe can be imitated, albeit faintly. Refining the void, Shiu, of the empty heart, Shinkong, is called refining void, Ti. Combining heaven and earth is called integrated Tao, Herdak. Because heaven, earth, and heart becomes one, it is called refining void integrated Tao, Shinghadat. That is the source of power wielded by cultivators of the integration stage. Of course, generally speaking, refining void Dharma treasures are incredibly difficult to refine. Even average integration stage grand cultivators have to devote at least 10,000 years of single-minded focus just to assimilate the Dharma treasure with their soul and spirit to obtain a refining void Dharma treasure. However, in my case, the path to my heart essence is already opened, and I am merely adding the colorless glass sword to that path naturally, so there's no need to waste that much time. When I connect my heart essence to the colorless glass sword, it so very naturally becomes a refining void Dharma treasure. With this, the colorless glass sword, the canvas of myriad forms and connections, will no longer be separated from me. I half open my eyes and unfold the canvas of myriad forms and connections through the colorless glass sword, which is now assimilated with my heart essence domain. If the heavenly venerable of time will not meet with me, I will at least spend this time reminiscing about my comrades. Yes, that surely must be the case. Don't. For some reason, a similar sound is heard from inside the canvas of myriad forms and connections. What is this? I take a step forward from the starting point of the canvas of myriad forms and connections. As always, the starting point is the illusion of my parents. And as I pass them, illusions of my life gradually begin to unfold. My illusions flow continuously behind me, creating a vision of regressions. First cycle, second cycle, third cycle, 17th, 18th, 19th cycle. The countless cycles of time pass behind me. And then, the comrades of this current cycle. The illusion of our order brushes past me. Gazing upon them, I stand there for a while, lost in the memories. It's then, tung. The sound of a droplet of water falling is heard. As I notice something within the canvas of myriad forms and connections, my eyes open widely. In the distance, beyond the hazy mist, a green deer is running. I foolishly reach out toward that deer. However, the closer I try to get, the further the deer moves away from me. What is that? At first, I thought it was an illusion. But this is the second time I'm seeing it. If it's the second time, it can't be an illusion. That is something real. Even if it moves away, I run towards the deer. Inside the canvas of myriad forms and connections, I pass through the hazy mist and keep running. And at some point, dawn, I open my eyes wide with the familiar sound. It's gone. Scenes of time and space, entirely absent from my memories, are within the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Dawn. A clear yet somehow eerie Brahma bell sound rings out. And then, I see countless versions of me. I endlessly rejected the heavenly venerable of time's proposal. And the heavenly venerable of time kept returning me back to just moments ago. The time of the entire universe didn't seem to reverse, only the space around me. However, seeing him endlessly return me to the past, with the fanatical obsession of rewinding time until the words, "I will make the contract," come out of my mouth, I stand there with my mouth agape. But when the next scene appears, I am shocked once more. The god of time's immortal treasure, South Polar ritual treasure, that is the true identity of the old man who had thus far called himself the heavenly venerable of time. Ha 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 ha. It's then that I finally understand. The heavenly venerable of time did not personally come to meet a bug like me. All of the unbelievable feats so far have been done solely by the god of time's subordinate and immortal treasure, the South Polar ritual treasure, by the being called Yang Sung. Seeing nearly 5,000 small-scale regressions, I let out a hollow laugh. Within those regressions, I was subjected to countless tortures, tasted hope, and faced despair. The memories of that time flow into me. Drip, drip, drip. I feel something flowing from my eyes. What can this be? It's red. They are tears of blood. The countless times I was deceived by Yang Sung, the grief and pain of those countless small-scale regressions are bursting out all at once. I look up at the sky and laugh, drained of energy. Behold, this is the difference between a governing immortal and me. With just the power of a great being's immortal treasure, I had to watch my comrades being torn apart and had to endure torture through countless small-scale regressions. How long must this continue? How long? Just how much longer? I'm so sick and tired of this. I stand up. In front of me, I see a woman gently stroking a jade-colored Naraigi. I smile at her. She helped me. But it certainly wasn't just her. Through her, someone beyond helped me. I understand clearly. Connected to the jade-colored Naraigi, connected to the colorless glass sword, someone from somewhere helped me. Who are you? With a solemn expression, I ask beyond the hazy mist. No answer comes. But instinctively, I know. What I sense beyond is the power of a being that bears an astonishing resemblance to the owner of Great Mountain, yet possesses the exact opposite temperament. For some reason, I feel as if the entity beyond is faintly smiling. The next moment, pat it. The canvas of myriad forms and connections begins to blaze pure white hot. WHY? I haven't moved at all, but the canvas of myriad forms and connections is operating the phenomena extinguishing mantra as if it's alive. I panic and try to stop it. Great Mountain might descend upon this place, but the canvas of myriad forms and connections rampage can't be stopped. It struggles madly to break free from my grasp. And then, I understand the reason why. One of the final verses of the phenomena extinguishing mantra, which I haven't yet uttered, is too closely aligned with the Tao of my canvas of myriad forms and connections. Perhaps that's why the canvas of myriad forms and connections is acting out. I grit my teeth and desperately try to control the canvas of myriad forms and connections. If this continues, the owner of Great Mountain will surely descend again. The mere memory of that nightmare from 190,000 years ago makes me distressed. However, as I struggle to control the canvas of myriad forms and connections, a faint voice brushes past my ears. Do not confine your connections. How can I not? If I don't, the mountain god will descend here. In response to my scream-like retort, the owner of the voice seems to smile softly. Even if they come, they won't be able to hinder you right now, no? A tone that is both clear and hard to understand. For some reason, their words make my chest beat. What do you mean by that? Immortal cultivation is repentant enlightenment. Their words continue. Repentant enlightenment means approaching the essence more closely than any other path, Tao, method in all the myriad phenomena of the world. Do not fear the external pressure that is yet to arrive, and focus on your current self. For some reason, with every single one of their words, It feels as if the tangled threads in my mind are unraveling. The mountain of repentant enlightenment opens only to those who look back at themselves. But even as the threads unravel, I don't seem to gain anything concrete. Just what in the world does that mean in this situation? However, for some reason, I naturally close my eyes and begin to reflect on myself, following the absurd voice's words. I close my eyes in reality, shut my consciousness within my domain, close my perception within my heart essence, and shut my knowledge regarding the connection of all phenomena itself within the canvas of myriad forms and connections. What do you feel? I feel nothing. I reply with a voice filled with despair. But suddenly, I realize something. There is nothing. But do I not still exist? The voice is no longer there. But that is okay. Even without the voice, somehow, I feel like I know the next step. Not everything has disappeared. The existence called I still remains. In that case, where did I come from? The answer is obvious. I open my eyes. The canvas of myriad forms and connections is no longer visible before my eyes. Of course it isn't. Because I am formed by the canvas of myriad forms and connections. Being formed by countless grace, the one that managed to come this far is I. Even if I don't perceive it, I am already within the grace. No, there's no need to perceive it. Because it's already within me. Therefore, there's no need to obsess. Because it's already within me. I open my mouth. The last two verses of the phenomena extinguishing mantra that I was unable to utter before are now surging wildly within my chest, as if begging to be set free immediately. I take the colorless glass sword, which I refined into a refining void dharma treasure, into my hand. Then, I begin a sword dance. This sword dance contains my history. Only now do I understand why the 31st move of Severing Mountain swordsmanship went out of control. Many people say the same thing. They say that immortal cultivation is unfeeling. They say that to reach a higher realm, one must sever connections. But they are wrong. The approach itself is flawed from the beginning. There's no need to abandon. There's no need to sever. Severing Mountain swordsmanship, 31st move. Just as the heart is like the heavens, never disappearing. Accumulating dust forms a mountain, Jichin Chingsan. So too do the connections remain within me, whether I perceive them or not. There is no need to obsess. Obsessing is for things one does not possess. Since they are already within me, why obsess? Don't. The sound of the Brahma bell rings out. Somewhere, I can feel the gaze of the owner of Great Mountain. But without yielding to their rank, I unleash the first move of Severing Mountain swordsmanship. The final verse of the phenomena extinguishing mantra, which I was unable to voice, finally bursts forth. Like combining all intents, ye turns them colorless. Pat it. The faint mist emanating from the colorless glass sword draws the three great ultimates. As the three great ultimates merge, they become a brilliant white light, transforming into a single slash that cleaves the sky. Embrace all connections and become impermanence. Wu Chang. Dong. The sound of the Brahma bell echoes, and the furious roar of someone enraged fills the universe. Time begins to reverse, as if trying to undo the actions I have just taken. But my heart remains unmoved in the face of any external pressure, and I repentantly enlighten myself upon all the grace that have shaped me. Pat it. The reason my sword move exploded before is because my obsession was obstructing the sword way of my clear heart. Now, nothing stands in the way. So the only thing left is to fully unleash this enlightenment. The sky-splitting single strike severs a portion of time itself, allowing me to finally escape the grasp of Yang Sung from within the space of dust clouds. Finally, I realize. Everyone is already within me, for I am formed by them. Thus, there is nothing to obsess about. What I must do now is not obsess but resolve. As I emerge from the dust-filled sky, what I see is the main body of Yang Sung and the projection of the owner of Great Mountain. Looking at the will of these great beings that can overturn heaven and earth, I resolve. No, it would be more accurate to say that I finally accept a truth I have already known. I won't be able to return home, will I? I know. My goal is to sever the regression. To achieve that, I plan to investigate the Ascension Gate. But ever since I encountered the remnant of Yang Sujin, I subconsciously realized it. That perhaps, even if I investigate the Ascension Gate, returning to my homeland will be impossible. Even Yang Sujin, who reached the pinnacle of true immortality, failed to do it. So how can I possibly do so? But this is a truth I feared to face, so I turned a blind eye to it until now. However, now that I know the truth is also within me, and that there's no need to fear external pressure, I finally accept it. I cannot return home. Accept it. Instead, let me correct my goal. If that's the case, let me correct the goal of returning home and severing the cycle of regression. The method to break the regression is uncertain. Even the possibility of returning home is slim. So what should I do? It's simple. To not regress again, ascend to the pinnacle of this world. Become stronger. As the Mad Lord said, the only thing that can overcome the attraction of fate is a power that overcomes it. Grow stronger and stronger, until eventually, no one can toy with me. Until no one can force me to regress. Yes, let's become an existence of eternal life, Yongsheng. Dong. The sound of the Brahma bell tries to hold me in this moment, and the barrier of yin-yang and 5 elements encircles me, but I simply close my eyes and smile. Embrace all connections and become impermanence. I have already found the answer I was seeking. The essence of repentant enlightenment is already within me. No matter the pain imposed by external pressure, I will not waver. Even if I am captured and tortured for 10 billion years, the confidence that I will not waver grows in my heart. No, it must have been there all along. Just then, dong. As the sound of the Brahma bell rings, time comes to a halt. When I look around, what I see is a halted, chaotic sky. The essence of Yongsheng and the essence of Great Mountain cannot be recognized. It's as if in this frozen world, those of a lower rank cannot perceive. Hence, I can't see anything. But I can feel it. Even though the world has stopped, I can tell that my own time is flowing properly. Time is passing. The lifespan of my body is coming to an end. Finally, after hundreds of thousands of years, I am finally closing my eyes. However, I force my closing eyes open and respectfully bow to the being that has appeared before me. I greet the Great One. He looks at me for a moment. Then he smiles subtly. Did you inherit their mantle? I don't reply and just smile faintly. Seeing my smile, he lets out a hearty laugh. Excellent. I apologize on behalf of my subordinate's rudeness. The being, dressed in a dignified dragon robe adorned with the Taiji symbol, bows courteously to me. Then, as he looks at me, he mutters, "If that is truly your will, then we too must prepare ourselves. To truly achieve liberation, I too must strengthen my resolve." Mumbling incomprehensible words, he reaches out his hand towards me. Perhaps triggered by his authority, light bursts forth from my body, and thousands, millions of pure white particles radiate out. Then, from within the canvas of myriad forms and connections inside me, a vision of someone with a benevolent smile seeming to push their hand outward surrounds my body. The being who stopped time laughs as he sees this. As a gesture of apology, I will give you a gift. Thank you, but I have already obtained more than enough. This is also my resolve. For some reason, his expression seems resolute. To truly reach liberation, one has no choice but to gamble. Kugugugugu. The Taiji symbol drawn on the center of his robe begins to ripple. In the next moment, that existence transforms into a strange, yet sacred being, with countless starlight trajectories overlapping within the Taiji symbol. The size is such that Yongsheng, who encompassed the galaxy as part of its body, is only the size of his palm. Ding! The sound of the Brahma bell rings out once more. This time, it isn't the unpleasant bell sound that Yongsheng previously rang. It's an incredibly clear and pure sound, one that also seems to cleanse the heart. In the distant future, I will wait for you all in the domain of void. Simultaneously with his words, I realize that my lifespan has come to an end. My consciousness is fading. With the last of my strength, I open my mouth. Thank you for your overwhelming kindness. However, I fail to utter his regnal name until the very last moment. Whether it's due to a lack of time, or if this too is fate, I can't tell. In the end, his regnal name only lingers within my mouth. O heavenly venerable, of time. Ding. The final sound of the Brahma bell rings. Time begins to flow again in the world that has been frozen. Yongsheng's gaze, filled with disbelief, pierces through me, while another gaze, laden with an emotion I can't comprehend, is directed at the salt covering me. As I am buried under Salt Mountain, I finally let go of the obsession I have been holding on to for so long. I can feel the end of my long and lengthy 19th life. I will regress once again. Yes, I hate regression. But if regression is a fate from which I can never escape, I will accept it. And within this cycle, I will find my own answer. Just like how today, I embraced my connections and cast off my obsessions. After achieving eternal life, I will find an answer I can truly accept for myself. I am not Xiao Unhyun, the earthling from a civilized society. I am the regressor, Bliguijia, Xiao Unhyun. At the end of a life that's been like hell, casting off all my obsessions, I solidify my identity and goal even more firmly. And so, I close my eyes. That is my 20th return. Chapter 411, 20th Cycle's First Day. TSTSTSTSTSTSTSTSS. Just like before, I open my eyes in the middle of another regression. Once again, I am moving against the river of time formed by the Taiji. Up, above, I can see the black sky, and just like before, there appears to be 10 seats, Joa, emerging. In the past, merely glimpsing those seats would have driven me insane. However, this time, Perhaps because I fully embraced the meaning of the phenomena extinguishing mantra's formula deep in my heart. I keep silently reciting the mantra, and though the sight of the seats still shocks my mind, it doesn't drive me mad. As I gaze at the 10 seats, I suddenly flinch in shock. Wait, that is... Chills. My very soul trembles like mad. The reason is that most of those seats above are focused on me. The seat with a determination as immovable as a great mountain is glaring ferociously at me. The seat with a hazy feeling as if in a confusing, dizzying dream is looking upon me with curiosity. The seat that's somehow familiar shows no discernible emotion but is looking down at me. The seat that seems imprisoned somewhere feels to be looking at me with excitement. The seat that bears an unending and boundless hunger conveys nothing but a sense of starvation, making it impossible to discern anything further. And among the seats at the center, the seat that gives a hollow feeling of emptiness seems to pay me no mind, instead focusing on the seat beside them. The same is true for the seat that feels like the owner of the soul-bearing flower. It's most definitely the seat I saw during my 19th regression, the one that seems to be watching me. But unlike before, that seat is no longer emitting light. As if it suddenly died, the light has grown so faint that it seems like it will extinguish entirely at any moment. The 2 seats in the center seem to be concerned about this dimming seat. And I know who that fading seat is. The Heavenly Venerable of Time. Surely it's him. He mentioned giving me a gift, and through some tremendous cost he sacrificed something of his own. Is that why he called it a gamble? His tone suggested that in order to break free from something, one requires a sacrifice. It's clear that the price the Heavenly Venerable of Time paid is far from trivial. As proof, during my 19th regression, it felt as though only the Heavenly Venerable of Time and the oldest of all could perceive me. But in this 20th regression, it seems as though the Heavenly Venerable of Time can no longer even detect me. No, it feels as if his consciousness has vanished entirely. I look up at him, expressing my deep gratitude towards the Heavenly Venerable of Time. Then, I notice the last seat in the sky. The seat of the oldest of all is calmly gazing down at me. Tingle. I feel chills. For some reason, I find the oldest of all far more terrifying than the seat with a determination as immovable as a great mountain, presumed to be the owner of Great Mountain. The reason everyone is looking down at me this time must be because this is a regression influenced by the Heavenly Venerable of Time. I can sense it. Because the Heavenly Venerable of Time intervened, the other governing immortals became aware and are watching me. It's possible that the regression this time isn't due to my ability, but instead the Heavenly Venerable of Time directly sending me back. However, it seems that when the Heavenly Venerable personally uses his power, the other governing immortals notice, and I can feel that 8 out of the 10 are watching me. Among the 10 seats, the seat of time has lost its light and can't see me, and the remaining seat seems to be simply uninterested. Because the Heavenly Venerable of Time exerted his power, all of them, including the oldest of all, are fully aware of and observing me. But this time, I feel it clearer than ever. The oldest of all has always been capable of perceiving my regressions. I can tell. Their gaze is so calm that I immediately notice. In the previous life, I thought it was thanks to the clear scale armor that they were able to track me, but that wasn't the case. The clear scale armor was just a pretext. Now knowing that the oldest of all can immediately, at any time, pursue me through history, I am filled with overwhelming dread. Perhaps, it might just be that they aren't chasing me right now because the other governing immortals are directing their attention towards me due to the Heavenly Venerable of Time's involvement. But if that's the case, doesn't that mean in the next regression, when the other governing immortals are not watching, they might pursue me? The thought suddenly strikes me with terror. TSTSTSTSTSTSTSTSTS. I can feel the regression process nearing its end. Just ahead is my regression point. However, I suddenly notice something strange in the sky. Thinking back, I vaguely perceived it during the 19th regression as well. That's, in the center, there are rings surrounding 4 of the seats. And among the 6 seats on the periphery, all but 1 have rings. But I noticed something strange and opened my eyes wide. The ring on the periphery. At first, I thought it was a seat with a ring. But no, it's just a ring. There is nothing but a ring. In reality, there are only 5 starlights on the periphery. Among the 6 seats on the periphery that I assumed were there, 1 was actually something without a central star, just a ring. It was simply too distant, so I mistook its shape. In reality, there are only 9 seats in that sky. 9 seats, 5 rings. That is the true nature of the 10 lights beneath that sky. Pat it. As I recognize this strange truth, my regression ends. Thud, along with a sensation as if something forcefully caught on somewhere during the process. Pot. This places an enormous turbulence of power surges around me, and as I withstand the turbulence, I find myself holding hands with several others. Ah, I see. I understand. I know exactly when this is. Right after the Wuji religious order was annihilated. The moment when I am holding hands with my remaining 23 comrades. This must be the heavenly venerable of time's gift. I understand the gift from the heavenly venerable of time. Revealing my fate in exchange for this time was Yang Sung's proposal. I clearly rejected Yang Sung's proposal and declined what it wanted to use as a bargaining chip. But I know deep down, it's because I respect this time so much that I don't want to use it as a bargaining chip. This moment itself is something I deeply, deeply long for. Yes, I have been yearning for my comrades of this time. Squeeze. I hold the hands of Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon on either of me, feeling their warmth. Beyond their warmth, I can feel Bu Kyunghwa, Kim Yun, Yun Jin, Kim Young-hoon, Oh Hyun-suk, Wei Shirhan, Iwemwa, Baek Rin, the remaining Guardian Ghost Kings, Yukon Yo, Seo Ran, Shirho, and others. As I feel the warmth of those who remain, tears well up in my eyes. Thank you. After quickly expressing my gratitude to the heavenly venerable of time, I swiftly enter the time of extreme speed and rapidly expand the domain within my body. Wawum. Due to my domain already being synchronized with my soul, through the refining void Dharma treasure, it returned with me from 190,000 years in the future. However, maybe there was a problem as my grand perfection integration stage cultivation is now only at the early integration stage. But there's no problem in unfolding my domain. I pull Hong Fan and John Myung-hoon into my domain and quickly bring my comrades into my body. Kwajik, the seventh guardian ghost king I failed to retrieve in time, is being crushed. But doo-doo-doo-dook. Gritting my teeth, I look up at the sky. There, Great Mountain is still standing as always. And then, flash, the sky. From the sky. Revered and revered dateable beings descend. Kook. I immediately lower my head. Pot. Brilliant light wraps around the mountain of darkness. As expected, even the governing immortals have detected the regression. It seems the supreme deity of light has also recognized this reversal of time and came down to capture the owner of Great Mountain. Cold sweat trickles down as I keep my head down. Surprisingly, the owner of Great Mountain doesn't resist much. They just calmly look down at me from above. Beware of the light. Many beings have warned me of this fact. Perhaps it's the light, even more so than Great Mountain, that I need to be cautious of. I keep my head lowered, waiting for Great Mountain to be completely captured by the light. That's when it happens. Jiang. I suddenly realize that I have entered my heart essence world at some point. This is a clear Dao mountain sword way. That is my heart essence. And I suddenly become aware that there is someone behind me. Someone has invaded my heart essence and even forcibly dragged my consciousness into it. However, I dare not recklessly look behind. It feels as though my neck is being strangled. No, it's more accurate to say it feels like a knife is in my mouth or a gun is pressed against my temple. I have a strong premonition that if I make any reckless move, I will be disassembled along with my soul and die. I hear the voice of someone, a strange, distorted voice, impossible to tell if it's a male or female, human or not. You are not worthy of having that. A voice with a subtle hint of anger. I will leave for today. I hear the sound of whispering in my ears. Come up. Let's see who's more worthy above. Then, their presence disappears. I hurriedly turn around, but there is no one in my heart essence world. No one except me. I break out in a cold sweat. I have a sense of who it is. It's the owner of Great Mountain. They had brazenly entered my heart essence world. Even Seo Huiol couldn't enter it recklessly. Yet the mountain god instantly entered my heart essence, trapped even me, the owner of the heart essence, within it, and disappeared after leaving a message. It's a chilling display of authority. But instead of trembling before their power, I grind my teeth. Because I know what they have done. Wawum. I exit my heart essence world, shedding tears of blood. In the integrated Dao domain I unfolded, a hole has been pierced. Sutsutsu. Before my eyes, the great mountain of darkness seems to gradually turn transparent before vanishing somewhere along with ropes of light. But I can no longer hold back and shout out. Great Mountain. Among my remaining 23 comrades, one was captured and killed by the god of the mountain because I couldn't put them into the integrated Dao domain in time. However, even among the comrades I quickly brought into the domain, aside from Wei Shirhan, Iwemwa, and Baek Rin, all other 9 guardian ghost kings were crushed to death. Even until the very last moment, they killed my comrades before leaving. SSSSS. The projection of Great Mountain disappears along with the 8 lights, but I can feel their gaze still stuck on me. It seems they have done something when they entered my heart essence. Grinding my teeth, I hold my remaining comrades even more dearly. Just a few seconds ago, I wondered what would have happened if the heavenly venerable of time returned me to before the Wuji religious order was annihilated. But upon reflection, I realize it wouldn't have made any difference. The mountain god would have relentlessly destroyed everything of mine, even while being captured by the light. Kugugugugu. To make matters worse, the attraction force of misfortune that has been following me since the ancient force realm has grown even stronger. It must be something added by the mountain god. Grinding my teeth and shedding tears of blood, I make a vow. Just as John Myung-hoon swore revenge against the god of heavenly punishment, I swear revenge against the mountain god. The world has not yet perished, but my emotions are boiling even more fiercely. As I am drawn towards the attraction force of misfortune on the first day of my return, I burn with a desire for vengeance against the owner of Great Mountain. Chapter 412/Soar. Kugugugugu. The attraction force grows stronger. It's the attraction force of misfortune. The power of misfortune, touched by the mountain god, slowly pulls us down as if trying to drag us into a quagmire. Kugugugugu. After just escaping the ancient force realm and entering the interdimensional void, I can feel terrifying vestiges gathering ahead of us. This is insane. The entire interdimensional void is filled with vestiges at the 4-axis stage. Not a single heavenly being vestige is in sight. Even vestiges at the integration stage are swarming by the thousands. But that isn't the real problem. Kwang. Far in the distance, sensing the presence of 3 beings from afar, I begin to sweat coldly. Truly overwhelming auras. While the powers held by the mountain god, the god of light, the heavenly venerable of time, or Yang Sung are terrifying because of their sheer magnitude that I can't even comprehend. The presences emerging from afar are even more overwhelming precisely because their magnitude is comprehensible. I can never defeat those beings. Kwang. The presence of 3 entities. They are, in fact, 3 vestiges at the esteemed one level. Kwang. Though they haven't even revealed themselves, their mere presence is terrifying. The vestiges in the interdimensional void are the corpses or husks of true persons. Their vulnerability to heavenly tribulation is precisely because of this. They are symbols of defying the heavens, but at the same time, they are entire worlds in themselves. When the entities meant to receive heavenly tribulation and those meant to inflict it become one and the same, heavenly tribulation that enters the bodies of the vestiges will amplify uncontrollably, ultimately causing them to explode and perish. But I can sense it. When thinking of how the esteemed ones who emerged after the creation of the heavenly domain are responsible for generating heaven and earth spiritual energy and spitting out cosmic nebulae, it's likely that even if heavenly tribulation is to amplify within the bodies of the esteemed one-level vestiges, they will be able to withstand it for a long time by continually producing heaven and earth spiritual energy and nebulae. They could just spit out heaven and earth spiritual energy or nebulae as much as they are damaged by the heavenly tribulation. Damn it. At this rate, isn't it still the same situation even when we manage to expel the mountain god? While I'm confident that I can break through and escape the thousands of integration-level vestiges, I know I can't handle those. Not against them. As I stand with a stunned expression, feeling the presence of the esteemed one-level vestiges. Quajik. A hole is torn open in my integrated Tao domain, and from inside, a giant body of lightning and thunder bursts forth. John Myung-hoon emerges from within. John Myung-hoon. His eyes are gloomy, not as much as mine, but his face clearly shows considerable pain. But despite groaning in agony, he opens his mouth. I've come this far always believing in you. Ever since that day, no matter how many times, no matter what you said, no matter how suspicious it seemed, I still trust you. Red light flows from his eyes. So, this time too, lead us. The red light becomes red lightning, pulsing under John Myung-hoon's face as if dripping down. It looks as if crimson tears of lightning are streaming down. No matter how many times we've failed, haven't you always led us in the end? He stands before me. As his integrated Tao domain unfolds, Kim Young-hoon, Oh Hyun-suk, Kim Yun, Bu Kyung-hwa, all those who can fight immediately, emerge. Find the answer, right now. With those words, my comrades turn their backs to me and begin to protect me, as if to buy me time to think. Watching them, I clench my fists. He's right. I have to come up with an answer. Whether it's returning to the ancient force realm, descending to the lower realms, or doing whatever it takes, I have to find the answer. Saying there's no answer is just an excuse. I have to do whatever it takes. Woo-woo. And as I rack my brain with a desperate will, something begins to enter the views of my eyes. It's a star vein. Currently, there are a total of 3 threads of star veins in the interdimensional void around us. They are star veins emanating from the star-shattering level vestiges. The esteemed one-level vestiges are connected by these star veins. But isn't that strange? 3 beings at the star-shattering stage. Yet, there are also 3 threads connecting them. It's not like the star veins of the 3 star-shattering creatures are forming a triangle. Like constellations, the star veins of the vestiges are connected to somewhere. First vestige to second vestige to third vestige. In that manner. And the third vestige is connected by a star vein to somewhere. For a star vein to be connected means that there is a star at the other end. Seeing that the esteemed ones are connected by star veins, it seems that the esteemed ones are treated as stars. In other words, there might be one more star-shattering vestige here, or perhaps even a vestige of a higher level. However, after scrutinizing the end of that star vein for a while, I realized the identity of the final star vein connected to the esteemed ones. Ah, I see. Crunch. I let out a hollow laugh. It's such an obvious thing when I think about it. I should have realized it from the moment I was bestowed misfortune. I want to sit down right here and now and cry out of sheer frustration and disbelief. But I can't afford to do that. I need to calm my mind and body. And though I should spend a long time preparing before taking on this challenge, there's no time. I have to go up now right now and cut it down. Failure means annihilation. I speak to my comrades. Immediately, right now, we're going to the esteemed one-level vestige down below. What? John Myung-hoon looks at me as if I lost my mind. But after meeting my gaze, he seems to ponder for a moment before nodding his head. Understood. But that can't possibly be the end of it, right? Right? I'll explain the detailed plan. I quickly send a heart message to my comrades, explaining my plan. After moving to the very lowest esteemed one, following my lead, we'll use the star veins. You can think of them as attraction force. We'll use the attraction force between the esteemed ones to gradually move upward to the next esteemed one right above. Then, from the very last esteemed one, we'll have to leap even higher beyond. There's no time to fully explain the exact details of the plan, nor do they yet understand our ultimate objective. But my comrades nod in agreement, their eyes shining with determination. Escaping between the esteemed ones, it might be possible, even if just for a moment. But the problem is that we likely only have enough power to do it once. Don't worry about that. John Myung-hoon's eyes glint as he extends 6 arms toward Kim Young-hoon. In an instant, Kim Young-hoon is surrounded by 6 massive hands. But as John Myung-hoon's red lightning flows into him, something begins to change. Quadragigic. The red lightning heavenly tribulation transforms into golden divine heavenly lightning. I don't know the reason, but my red lightning heavenly tribulation method reacts and changes when I use it on you. I confirmed this back in the head realm as well. Indeed, this golden lightning is perfectly suited for my use. Kim Young-soon seems amazed as he feels the golden lightning for a moment, then begins to compress it within his saber. If the two of us combine our strengths, moving between the esteemed ones won't be an issue. But the problem is reaching them. We can't afford to waste any power until then. In response to John Myung-hoon's words, Book Hyung-hwa shouts and sends a voice transmission inside my domain. A moment later, Kugagugagu, Co Ran, who had been hiding inside my integrated Dao domain, emerges with the nether crossing ship. There's so much I want to ask, but this is urgent, so I'll follow for now. Co Ran speaks hurriedly, quickly transferring command of the nether crossing ship to Book Hyung-hwa. Book Hyung-hwa speaks to Oh Hyun-suk and Kim Yun. I'll need the two of you to assist me. Soul Extinguishing Ghost King, please replenish power in the nether crossing ship's power space with Sir Co Ran's help. When I make the nether crossing ship go berserk, Mysterious Bizarre Ghost King will need to control it. With the nether crossing ship's strength, we will surely make it to the front of the esteemed one. We quickly exchange opinions and set off. Kugagugagu. Oh Hyun-suk becomes the power source for the nether crossing ship, activating it, while Co Ran, using the owner's authority, unlocks the ship's functions. Through this authority, Book Hyung-hwa pushes the nether crossing ship into a berserk state, while Shurho protects Co Ran and Book Hyung-hwa on the deck. Meanwhile, Kim Yun's consciousness threads seep into every part of the nether crossing ship. The nether crossing ship, which has risen to the 4-axis stage through going berserk, begins to rise even further in level as it comes under Kim Yun's control. Originally, the nether crossing ship isn't exactly a combat Dharma treasure. Back during the Black Ghost Valley era, I heard from a Ghost King that the true purpose of the nether crossing ship is the collection and storage of souls, and their transmission to the netherworld. The nether crossing ship can use its transmission function to temporarily shift the ship itself to the outskirts of the interdimensional void or the netherworld, and then perform spatial movement. Kugagugagu. As ghostly energy seems to engulf the surroundings of the nether crossing ship, we instantly enter a very shallow area of the outskirts of the netherworld, a place close to reality. Is it because it's such a shallow area? The surroundings only became slightly hazy, with the vestiges remaining around as they were. But I know all too well. Why are ghosts such terrifying beings? Because they are unfair existences whose attacks can reach you, but your attacks pass right through them. Huwoong, huwoong. The 4-axis vestiges launch attacks at us, but in our semi-transparent state, we evade all of them. Kim Young-hoon, John Myung-hoon, and I conserve our strength for the right moment. while Kim Yun pilots the nether-crossing ship quickly towards the esteemed ones. Kugugugugu. Grand cultivator-level vestiges come flying at us. Each and every single of their strikes carry the power of a dimension, so even in the outskirts of the netherworld, they have a certain mass as they fly toward us. And then, Kim Yun moves her hand. Flash, flash. The main cannon of the nether-crossing ship fires. The main cannon of the nether-crossing ship, amplified significantly by the ghostly energy of the couple Wei Shirhan and Uemwa, fly forth, piercing through the vestiges. Our attacks land with amplified force, while theirs barely affect us. Whoa, we're going. Kim Yun aggressively steers the nether-crossing ship, rapidly charging toward the esteemed one-level vestige. Whoa. In the distance, the esteemed one-level vestige can be seen. I know instinctively. Regardless of whether we are in the outskirts of the netherworld, it would be of no use against an esteemed one-level vestige. But that doesn't matter. We have already arrived. Pat it. I expand my domain, pulling Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon, and put the entire nether-crossing ship within my domain. I then join forces with them. Red lightning heavenly tribulation. Quasi-Jijik. Red lightning cycles and touches Kim Young-hoon, transforming into golden lightning, with the words golden divine heavenly thunder appearing on his back. It's a situation similar to what happened in the head realm. The esteemed one raises a gigantic arm in front of us. Go! I shout, and Kim Young-hoon raises his saber. The next moment, we see a golden bird formed from thunder and lightning. The golden bird carries me and instantly dodges the esteemed one's hand. I open my star vein eye and guide the golden bird towards the path of the esteemed one's star vein. Pajajijik. Through the star vein, the golden bird flies towards the next esteemed one. A vestige resembling a snake opens its mouth wide. The golden bird forms a trail of thunder and lightning, evading the snake-like vestige in the void. Once again, under my guidance, it flies towards the final esteemed one. Woo. I heighten the perception of the star vein eye even further. The star vein is peculiar. The more I traverse the star vein, the closer I get to its essence, the more my consciousness ascends to a certain world. I have a rough idea of what it is. Just as cultivating the ghost path method gradually draws one's consciousness closer to the outskirts of the netherworld. The more I perceive the star vein and traverse its path, the closer my consciousness comes to the domain of the heavenly venerable of time. Next, I draw forth the power of my domain and shout in mental speech. Finally, Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon escape the grasp of the last esteemed one and follow the star vein connected to an unknown place. As the star vein and my consciousness assimilate, my consciousness and vision elevate to a world of a higher plane. I can see it. Far in the distance. A star connected to the esteemed ones. Kugugugugu. That star is emitting an attraction force. The identity of that attraction is misfortune, ying. TSTSTSTSTSS. It's that. That is the identity of the misfortune that slowly started to manifest in the ancient force realm and tormented me. The unknown misfortune that is constantly chasing after me. Now that I think about it, when the Wuji religious order entered the ancient force realm, there was an enormous shockwave that spread and vibrated throughout the entire world. It's a ridiculous occurrence. The combined mass of the Wuji religious order, the Twilight Domain, John Myung-hoon, and I amounted to at most 5 or 6 integration stage cultivators. So how could the entire middle realm shake just because of that? It makes no sense at all. The shockwave that swept across the entire ancient force realm wasn't caused by us. It was caused by that star that followed us into the ancient force realm. The reason I saw attraction force in the ancient force realm, which has no sky, is obvious. A star entered the ancient force realm. Those in the lower boundary use curse dolls when casting a curse. Beings in the greater boundary use stars when bestowing misfortune. In that case, who gifted me that star? Who granted me that misfortune? It's clear at first sight. The malice, hate, of 50-some beings emanating from the star. It's the malice of the quasi-immortals from the nether ghost realm who had peaked on the phenomena extinguishing mantra. On top of that, the malice of the owner of Great Mountain is added to it, creating a powerful mass of misfortune which has been bringing misfortune upon me from a higher plane. Surung, Kim Young-hoon and John Myung-hoon became my foundation. They don't seem to understand what I am trying to do since they lack the star vein eye, but I can tell they trust me. That is enough. I compose my will. Then, squeezing out every last bit of my lifelong will and energy, I prepare the martial technique that partly severed the authority of Yongsung. Severing mountain swordsmanship. The 31st move. Accumulating dust forms a mountain. Starting with a horizontal slash, a vertical cut, and a thrust, all the techniques of my heaven, earth, heart, and puppet converge into one. The canvas of myriad forms and connections, which contains my history, shines purely as a hazy mist settles on my sword. But I can tell, this won't be enough. I don't unleash accumulating dust forms a mountain. Instead, I hold it in my hand, focusing my soul. Keying. More. Keying. More. Pat it. More. I compress it. I compress the all-heavens sword, formed by compressing the formless sword, crazily compressing it with the weight of my entire history. The all-heavens sword begins to thin. What lies before me is a star, but at the same time, it's a concept. To cut through a concept, what I wield must also transform into a concept. Keying. The all-heavens sword gradually begins to thin. I recall a memory from long ago. It's from when I was very young. The time I fought against a third-star chi refining cultivator in the royal palace and gained enlightenment on sword silk. Sword energy is assimilated into will, eat. In doing so, energy is compressed like a thread in the same way intent is. I compress the all-heavens sword in my hand with my will, eat. The pressure required is on a completely different level from compressing sword energy. Like the thread of intent, I transform and manifest my sword. Swordsmanship consists of 3 fundamental actions: slashing, thrusting, and blocking. Slashing forms a line, thrusting forms a point, and blocking forms a surface. And the most optimal form to perform these 3 actions is something else entirely. I close my eyes, then half open them. Something is in my hand. It's something extremely thin but stronger than anything else in the world. It's a form that closely resembles the thread of intent that a martial artist first sees when they begin to enter the world of martial arts. This is no longer a sword. Its name is Immortal Cultivation is Repentant Enlightenment. I feel the gaze of the owner of Great Mountain watching me from above, but it doesn't matter. I have already found my purpose. External pressure doesn't scare me. On the contrary, I will sever their gaze right here and now. The line-turned all-heavens sword begins to blaze white. Like tiny grains of salt gathering to form a sea, build mountains through repentant enlightenment. TSTSTSTSTSTSST. I raise the all-heavens sword. In the world of star veins, the all-heavens sword shines brighter than anything else. Building a mountain of salt is perhaps the fastest way to reach the heavens. Learning this mantra, everyone was annihilated. I can still feel it. This mantra is the power that calls upon Great Mountain. Through the phenomena extinguishing mantra, I can feel the gaze of the owner of Great Mountain growing stronger, and an attraction force between us begins to form. If this continues, I will become nothing more than a puppet dancing and dying under the owner of Great Mountain for the rest of my life, just like Han one. Each to one another holding hands, with everyone at sea, drink salt, and with the wind, soar. The attraction force between Great Mountain and I grows stronger. If this continued, Great Mountain might descend once more. However, at this point, I twist the mantra. Like combining all intents turn them colorless. Keying. The proper sequence of the phenomena extinguishing mantra is twisted, causing the attraction force to skew greatly. The white hue of the all-heavens sword remains, but most of the tyrannical energy, bachit, felt from the sword evaporates. I don't care. I never intended to rely on someone else's power anyway. What I have built up from the beginning is more than enough. Instead, I infer the mantra's formula and focus my intent even further. The white light seems to shine closer to colorlessness. Tot. I leap from the golden bird that is supporting me, raising the all-heavens sword even higher. Is it still lacking? I can't know for sure. Can I cut down a star? If I melted the star over decades with curses, perhaps it might be possible. But to cut it in a single strike, no matter how strong I am, is a daunting task. The distance is ambiguous. If only, just a little closer, I can definitely cut it down. And then, at that moment, Tot, Hong Fan, who has emerged from my domain, pushes me from behind. Please show me, master. I smile, embrace all connections, and become impermanence. Twisting the phenomena extinguishing mantra, I swing what is in my hand. That is, I can feel it. Great Mountain is eager to descend and crush me at any moment. But I will sever it here. Great Mountain's gaze. The misfortune left to us. Even whatever fate that may come in the future. I see my masters flash before my eyes. And I embrace their words into my chest and speak them aloud. Before my eyes, I see a pure giant who sacrificed himself, singing of goodwill. Believing thus, reach for the star. The way to reach the star. The phenomena extinguishing mantra twists. Simultaneously, the star in front of me splits apart. The power of Great Mountain that placed some attraction force and gaze upon me is completely erased by the twisted phenomena extinguishing mantra that nullifies attraction force. Salt Mountain leaves my embrace. Though it's a natal Dharma treasure I refined over countless years, I have no intention of holding on to it. How can I rely on such an external object? What I have built up is already within me. The misfortune that surrounded us has now disappeared. Even the gaze of Great Mountain was severed along with our single strike. Now, all that remains is to carve our way forward. Thud. With my domain, soul, and body all in tatters, I vomit blood while supported by Kim Young-hoon, John Myung-hoon, and Hong Fan. Is it done, Seo Eun-hyun? John Myung-hoon asks urgently. I smile faintly. It will be. No, damn it. The esteemed one-level vestiges are still perfectly intact. And what about those thousands of integration-level vestiges? Damn it. Just what did you do? Somehow it will. I can barely speak. My whole body feels shattered. But we will be able to escape. The misfortune that surrounded us is gone. Kugagugum. I see the star of misfortune that I have cut down explode before my eyes. As the misfortune dissipates, the wind from the explosion blows forth. It's the fair wind of fate. And then, pot. From within my domain, Yukyo emerges. She glances at me and my comrades, then bows her head. Thank you for everything. Recognizing her intention, I ask, will you be all right? For me, that place is home. After bowing to us, she quickly flies towards the salt mountain. As she reaches the salt mountain, it shines brightly. At the same time, the previously miniaturized salt mountain and salt crystal palace become huge once again. She reaches the summit of the salt mountain. Will you be all right? I ask once more. This time, it's directed not at Yukyo, but at Baek Rin. Baek Rin, who has emerged from my domain, gives a faint smile. Please take good care of Shirhan and Eumwa. I will. Go. I am eternally grateful for your majesty's grace. With those final words, Baek Rin quickly flies over to stand beside Yukyo. Baek Rin is a beloved presence, not only by Shirhan and Eumwa, but also by the followers. By the former disciples of the White Vein Gate, who became followers. But now, they are no more. So, he is merely following the one he loves even more among those who remain. I understand Baek Rin's resolve. Even if the world he is heading towards is an illusion, he believes his feelings for Yukyo are real. Baek Rin takes Yukyo's hand in front of the palace and looks back at us. Then, the two demon spirits, who are smiling at each other. No, the two people, enter the palace. In that final moment, in my eyes, the two appear not as a ghost reduced to bones and a demon who lived indulgently, but a tidy young man and a pure princess. Flash. The two cross into another world, and the fair winds of fate blow us away as the Penglai Islands formation activates. Kaiya, Kigegajek, Quingi. The esteemed one-level vestiges and grand cultivator-level vestiges are all sucked into the formation and disappear. They no longer pursue us. In a world that may be an illusion or may be real, they will live on forever. I will never forget you all. Seeing my friends who are once again leaving us, but did not meet an entirely tragic end, I smile with tears. With the fair winds of fate, and until we finally reached the bright cold realm, I laughed and cried, filled with loss, joy, and emotions that words could never dare express. Thus, I finally placed a period on our long pilgrimage through the Middle Realms. Chapter 413, Three Great Disasters, 1. Kwon. With a deafening explosion, my comrades and I simultaneously cross the interdimensional void and arrive in this otherworldly space. It's a familiar place. The care layer of Lofty Dragon True Person Storage Scroll. The familiar burning smell. The familiar landscape. The familiar beings. And the pain of loss that I can never get used to. I turn back to check on those who remain. Kim Young-hoon, John Myung-hoon, Oh Hyun-suk, Kim Yun, Book Hyang-hwa, Hong Fan, Seo Ran, Shir-ho, Yun-jin, Wei Shirhan, Eumwa. Out of the countless followers of the Wuji religious order, which numbered up to 400 million, only 11 people have successfully entered the storage scroll of Lofty Dragon True Person, including Baek Rin and Yukyo, as well as the other Guardian Ghost Kings and other mid-level leaders. None of them made it here with us. No one else reached this place with us. For a while, I gazed silently at the entrance of the interdimensional void from which we escaped from. My other comrades do the same, especially John Myung-hoon, who is trembling with both hands and biting his lips. If it weren't for us, he might have gone berserk right here and now. Woo-woo. The gap in the dimensional barrier that we pierced through begins to close again, thanks to the restorative power of the storage scroll. Only then do I take a deep breath and turn my head. There, standing with tense expressions, are Gyo Yom and the other two members of the Heaven Tribe. Did you send everyone out of the storage scroll? At my question, Gyo Yom nods frantically. Before they could perform the summoning ritual, the miscellaneous forces who had entered this place with them were all sent outside of the storage scroll. They probably thought Gyo Yom and the 4-axis stage cultivators were trying to hog the treasures, but unfortunately, what they got was not treasure, but us, who have lost comrades and are extremely on edge. You, why aren't you answering and just nodding your head? Do we look laughable to you? John Myung-hoon glares at Gyo Yom and growls. His bloodshot eyes seem full of anger from not being able to save any of the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, who were part of the Wuji religious order. Gyo Yom, a 4-axis stage cultivator of the blood shark race with also quite the temper, has no choice but to bow down in fear before the integration stage grand cultivator, emitting streams of red lightning from his body and glaring at him with bloodshot eyes. And no, Elder, I dared to act disrespectfully. Please forgive me. I have a wife waiting for me at home. At the mention of a wife, John Myung-hoon grinds his teeth and shifts his gaze to the other members of the Heaven tribe. And just what are you two, standing there with your heads held so high? Our apologies, Grand Cultivator, Elder. Please forgive us. Nok-ju and Baek-wyuk break out in cold sweat. I reach out into the air, retrieving the purple soul filling the heavens that is tied to them. Woo-wong. By my attraction force, the heavenly lotus fruit hanging from the melia tree falls into my hand. After taking the heavenly lotus fruit, I walk to the side of the melia tree and look at a corpse. It's the corpse of Hyen Gwi. The body of Hyen Gwi, which has just begun to decay, looks quite gruesome. But that is all. There's no suspicious energy or any strange signs. I extend my consciousness toward Hyen Gwi's body and search it thoroughly, but find nothing unusual. Hyen Gwi practiced the orthodox methods of the black-scaled fish commanding sect. He primarily cultivated methods that borrowed the power of Black Dragon King Hyen Eum, optimizing his body for the four symbols nascent soul, which borrowed Hyen Eum's power. Even when I concentrate the precision of my consciousness to examine his body down to the cellular and genetic levels, I find nothing out of the ordinary. After observing Hyen Gwi's corpse for a while, I eventually bury it with a spell. No matter how I think about it, he was connected to a true immortal. It's better not to touch the corpse further and attract unwanted attention. Holding the heavenly lotus fruit, I return to the altar where my comrades are while deep in thought. From now on, I must be careful not to get entangled with true immortals. I recklessly used the Great Mountain Splitting Emperor technique. As a result, those who had believed in me were annihilated due to being entangled with the owner of Great Mountain. This world is filled with malice. Though Yunwei's words are sometimes wrong, they are fundamentally correct. In this world, even a drop of water in the stream or a grain of sand on the roadside can be connected to a great being. From now on, even breathing must be done with caution. I must be extremely meticulous and careful to the point of feeling like my head's about to burst. Gyo-yom. I approached Gyo-yom. Gyo-yom, showing his humility, bows his head before me. Take it. This is your reward for helping us. Thank you. He trembles as he squeezes a handful of juice from the heavenly lotus fruit and offers the rest back to me. I offer to the Great One. I gave it to you, so why are you returning it? I have heard that the heavenly lotus fruit is a spiritual fruit that aids in rising to the star-shattering stage. I hope the Elder takes it and elevates your realm. After contemplating for a moment, I decide to accept the heavenly lotus fruit. Even if I don't need it, it might be useful for my comrades. After receiving the heavenly lotus fruit, I turn my gaze to the other two who have pulled us here along with Gyo-yom. Nok-ju and Baek-wyuk are bowing before me, their faces pale with fear. Ugaguk. As I reach out my hand, the space distorts. At the same time, the space that I warped returns to normal, revealing a hidden warehouse within the care layer. That's. I speak with an expressionless face. Pick what you need from inside. It should be more useful than most things in the storage scroll. These are the treasures I pulled over and accumulated within the storage scroll over several decades through my avatar. They should be quite useful. The two exchange awkward glances before entering the storage I have revealed to choose their items. Nok-ju chooses a lump of lightning marsh gem soil, Leidajing 2, beneficial for trees. Baek-wyuk selects one of the spiritual fruits known as Heavenly Blessing Summit, Feng. Good. Now, you two go over there for a moment. I nod toward Baek-wyuk and Nok-ju, and they hurriedly nod back and withdraw to the rear. Gyo-yom, however, looks at me with a pale face, seemingly not understanding why I left him behind. The Elder, do you have some business with me? You are from the Earth tribe, correct? Specifically, the blood shark race among the sea demon race. Why yes, that's correct, but, in that case, how do the sea demon race conduct funerals? Pardon, I asked Gyo-yom about the funeral customs of the demon race. Over 80% of the Wuji religious order's followers were ghostly creatures. Wei Shirhan and Eum know well how to honor ghostly creatures, but about 20% of the followers were demon beasts recruited in the ancient force realm. Among them, those of the sea demon race were particularly numerous, and I need to know how to conduct their funerals. I could have asked Seo Ran, who is of the sea dragon race, but since Seo Ran stated that the entire dragon race, including the sea dragon race, only holds funerals in the manner of the dragon race, it seems pointless to ask him. Of course, Seo Ran does know some funeral customs of the demon race, but they are all from the lower realm, so they might not be appropriate. That's why I left Gyo-yom behind. After thinking for a moment, Gyo-yom responds. May I ask how the deceased passed away? They were killed by an existence that could not be resisted. At my words, Gyo Yom's eyes gleam as he answers. For our demon race, particularly the sea demon race in the Middle Realms, most of our funeral customs are similar. When someone dies of natural causes, or while advancing their realm, or falling victim to chi deviation and heart demons, or to heavenly tribulation, we perform a sky burial to allow them to become one with nature. However, if they die due to a natural disaster or disease, they are cremated, and if they are murdered, the relatives of the deceased and those who had a close relationship bury them and vow revenge. Natural death calls for a sky burial. Accidental death leads to cremation. In the case of murder, they are buried, and revenge is vowed. Such is the funeral custom of the demon race. After discussing it with my comrades, we exterminate the fire corpses on the first level of the storage scroll, the water flow layer, and build a large burial mound. This is to honor the countless 400 million followers of the Order. It is also to etch into our hearts the desire for revenge against the god of Great Mountain, who slaughtered these followers. We specifically chose to build the tomb inside the storage scroll to keep it as close as possible to the place where they died. Just like we did after the incident with the god of heavenly punishment, John Myung-hoon, myself, Kim Young-hoon, and the rest of my comrades. We swear our vows in the midst of roaring flames. I will avenge you. I speak. I will take revenge. Kim Young-hoon says. I will avenge you all. Oh Hyun-suk says. Following, John Myung-hoon, Kim Yun, Book Hyunghwa, Seo Ran, Shurho, Hong Fan, Yunjin, Wei Sihan, Eumwa, and everyone else all speak of revenge. Woo-woom. Kuga-guga-gugu. When we all simultaneously unleash our auras, powerful 5 elements spiritual energy swirls around us. Perhaps it's because we all stared directly at the god of Great Mountain. No matter how much the mountain god lowered their rank and descended, a great being is still a great being. After seeing them, we all gained powerful 5 elements divine powers. In my case, I became able to see the yin-yang and 5 elements energy even more clearly. And in Oh Hyun-suk's case, just witnessing the owner of Great Mountain caused the creation of the 5 elements axes within his body, allowing him to reach the grand perfection 4-axis stage. Kim Young-hoon suddenly formed a golden core infused with the 5 elements within his body, reaching the core formation stage. Book Hyunghwa gained a divine power that enabled her to create hands made of 5 elements spiritual energy, and Kim Yun unexpectedly formed a demon core within herself, reaching the Earth Tribe's core formation stage. Seo Ran, as if his bloodline was stimulated, advanced from the grand perfection heavenly being stage to just half a step into the 4-axis stage. Shurho, also as if his bloodline had been stimulated, is now able to imbue his illusory dream divine powers with attributes similar to the 5 elements blood curse banner. The yin-yang 5 elements of Yunjin's nascent soul perfectly aligned, allowing him to leap over the grand perfection nascent soul stage in an instant to the early heavenly being stage. John Myung-hoon is now able to infuse the lightning within his integrated Dao domain with the 5 elements, enabling him to rain down 5 elements lighting tribulation. Wei Shurhan and Eumwa each gained the ability to create ghost fire with the attributes of the 5 elements. Every one of us had to endure a terrifying experience with the appearance of the mountain god, but in exchange, each one of us have become much stronger. It's as if merely encountering the mountain god was treated as a heavenly tribulation, as even those who had their cultivation realm rise did not face any tribulations. After we all spoke of revenge and ignited the flames, I look at them and say, I'm sorry to everyone. But you know there's still something left to do, right? At my words, they all nod weakly. We need to rescue Kong Min-hee. John Myung-hoon speaks with a gloomy expression. Yeah, and judging by my estimation, my face hardens. She may have reached the star-shattering stage by now. She would have already metamorphosized into the ghost guiding Holy Mother and gone berserk. At this point in time, there's no way to stop her from rampaging. Just like how the power of fate kept restoring things to their original state whenever I tried to save my comrades. Kong Min-hee at this point of time will have gone berserk and is to devour the bright cold realm. It's a bit awkward to say this, but if I can just have 300 more years, I'm confident I can reach the grand perfection integration stage and attempt to advance to the star-shattering stage. I have the experience of having reached the grand perfection integration stage before. Even though I regressed and fell to the early integration stage, I'm confident I can rise to grand perfection again with that experience. Our goal is one. I look at my comrades and speak. Let's become stronger. Clenching my fist, I say, let's become even stronger, so that no one can oppress us. Drip, drip, drip. Something flows from my eyes. It's a curse. Just like after the 10th cycle's Yuan Li, black curses are falling from my eyes. Chi-yi. The surrounding ground decays and crumbles in an instant. It's been a long time since anything like normal tears flowed from my eyes. Quong. Feeling an inexplicable tightness, I hit my chest. A monstrous thing formed of curses crawls out of my body, looks at me, and then hastily flees. Monsters grow out of my body and flee, while the serene scene of my integrated Tao domain is reflected around me. My integrated Tao domain is a desert. In the desert, 3,000 colorless glass swords are embedded. During the day, the ground burns fiercely, while at night, monsters grow in the darkness, trembling with fear and wailing as they try to escape my domain. Standing in the center of the monsters fleeing from me, I feel curses flowing from my 7 orifices and speak. Let's become stronger and take revenge. We must. The curses flow through my body, covering me completely. Amidst the curses, I reveal my true form with 20 heads and roar. We must avenge them and honor the dead. Kuru. John Myung-hoon becomes the giant of red lightning. Perhaps due to his elevated cultivation, John Myung-hoon's head split in half, becoming the lightning god with 2 heads and 6 arms. Oh Hyun-suk reveals his giant body of purple primordial chaos, and Kim Young-hoon, unable to contain his sorrow, shouts toward the heavens. The shadow of a golden pung swirls around Kim Young-hoon, Wei Shirhan, and Eumwa, Hong Fan, and Seo Ran. And Shir-ho all reveal their gigantic true forms, and while they shed tears of blood, they let out ghostly wails, while Book Hyangwa and Kim Yun silently shed tears with pale faces. Yun Jin, through his Taiji quaking lightning body, sheds tears as his face splits in half, and Gyo Yom, Nok Ju, Baek Wyack, and the others huddle together in fear, trembling with the monsters that collapsed under my roar. The goal for this life is simple. Save Kong Minhee. And to save her, I will raise my cultivation. I will elevate my realm and become stronger. With that simple yet difficult goal engraved in my heart, I swallow my tears, embrace my comrades within my integrated Tao domain, and set out from the storage scroll. Chapter 414, 3 Great Disasters, 2. Pot. A streak of white light pierces through the void, accompanied by the sound tearing through the air. Kugugugugu. Within the white light, a powerful pressure of spiritual energy and a massive gust of wind erupts, causing numerous demon beasts and spirit beasts to flee in terror as soon as they feel its presence. Kurung earned. Suddenly, dark clouds seem to flow toward the white light and are drawn into it. The white light is Seo Eun-hyun, and what entered him are the clouds of heavenly tribulation. However, despite the bizarre and terrifying event, Seo Eun-hyun merely twitches his eyes slightly, without any change in expression, as he flies swiftly toward the human race territory. Kurung. Inside my domain, Seo Ran is currently completing his advancement to the 4-axis stage. Perhaps the sea orchid fruit I previously obtained from the storage scroll of Lofty Dragon True Person proved to be quite helpful. After consuming the fruit, Seo Ran achieved a tremendous rise in his cultivation and became able to attempt advancing from half-step into the 4-axis stage to the complete 4-axis stage. Of course, due to time being the essence in our current situation, we decided to proceed with the advancement while I am carrying him within me. Naturally, this meant that the heavenly tribulation would rage within my domain, potentially causing damage. Fortunately, John Myung-hoon is able to minimize the impact of the heavenly thunder, preventing any major issues. Woo-woo. I move rapidly through the air, absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual energy of the bright cold realm. For 190,000 years, I slowly raised my cultivation realm. Although I had advanced my realm within the dense heaven and earth spiritual energy right after the beginning of creation, I nonetheless acquired a considerable amount of insight into the realm that an integration stage cultivator should possess. Therefore, I was able to elevate my realm from the very beginning of the integration stage to the early stage in an instant. Of course, progressing through the middle and late stages to reach grand perfection will require considerable time. The formula for the integration stage is divided into 6 major aspects: rain, hu, sun, yang, heat, hu, cold, feng, wind, feng, and time. These aspects represent cloudiness, yu, clearness, yang, warmth, hu, coldness, han, and wind, feng, symbolizing the changes of the seasons, 3. Cultivation in the integration stage involves unifying heaven, earth, and the 4 directions, the 6 harmonies, within one's integrated Tao domain. By integrating each of these 6 harmonies, one can gain a divine power, and these divine powers are named after the 6 aspects mentioned above. Collectively, they are referred to as various omens, sujru, a process of mastering one's domain more perfectly and harmonizing within it. In the case of John Myung-hoon's integrated Tao domain, the charged lightning veil of the great heavenly rain he most strongly awakened the divine power of rain, hence the name. Most integration stage grand cultivators typically awaken their divine powers in the order of rain, sun, yang, heat, cold, wind, Feng, and time. However, I am different. Wu. I can feel day and night circulating within my domain. Day and night, also known as twilight, gongyin, light and shade, are other terms representing the passage of time. When I first gazed upon the immortal treasure of time, Yang Sung, my body had scattered into twilight, as if I had become one with time itself. Regardless, the crucial point is this. Time. I awakened the divine power of time first, rather than rain. I have some guesses as to why I awakened the divine power of time first. Vast cold heavenly circle. Wu. The formula of the vast cold heavenly circle rotates, awakening the divine power of time. Why yang? As twilight rotates according to the formula of the vast cold heavenly circle, the last of the 6 divine powers is awakened. Since I've awakened time instead of rain, I'll have to gain enlightenment of the divine powers in the opposite direction compared to other cultivators. In the previous cycle, at the beginning of creation, I awakened wind after time, rather than sun following rain. Wind, Feng, Kugugugugugu. Normally, I would move quietly, but in order to obtain the divine power of wind, the next divine power after time, I advance while scattering storms around me with the sound of tearing through the air. How long have I been flying through the air? Within the wind, I notice a familiar region appearing in the distance. Swiftwind Domain. Wyo. Swiftwind Domain, where wind, darkness, and energy gather abundantly, has not transformed into something akin to a part of the Nether Ghost realm this time, as Kong Minhe did not emerge from here in this cycle. The Kong Minhe of present is very likely to emerge around the human race territory. Using the ground shrinking technique, flying escape technique, gliding technique, and sword flight, I quickly pass through Swiftwind Domain, heading toward the human race territory. At the same time, I slightly open my domain to absorb a portion of the wind from the Swiftwind Domain into it. A few days later, in the distance, the human race territory, the Sky Island Archipelago, comes into view. She hasn't awakened yet. Kong Minhe, the ghost guiding Holy Mother, will inevitably awaken at this point and devastate the surroundings. Last time, she awakened in Swiftwind Domain and wreaked havoc, but this time, there was no cause for her to awaken there. In other words, she is likely to awaken at the Black Ghost Valley's human race branch and lay waste to the surrounding area. I can't even imagine how many humans will die. Flying with a sharp gaze, I quickly ponder through the situation. I don't know when Kong Minhe will awaken. It wouldn't be strange if she woke up right now. Therefore, before she awakens, I need to evacuate the human race to a place out of reach of Kong Minhe's influence, who is at the star-shattering stage. At Temporal Fate Island, located at the very outskirts of the human race territory, I notice that a barrier has been activated, likely in response to sensing my rapid approach to that direction. The entire human race territory is shrouded in clouds, making its presence faint. If I were a mindless monster or a grand cultivator visiting the human race territory for the first time, I might not have noticed its existence and simply flown past. This is the barrier grand formation activated through the dragon vein of the entire human race territory, also known as the concealment grand formation, hiding and protecting the territory by making it invisible to powerful beings flying nearby. However, I accurately sense a gap in the concealment grand formation and smash through one of its corners, entering the human race territory. Simultaneously, flash, 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 multiple orbs of light float around me. The orbs twist in the air and transform into human figures. They are the projections of the grand cultivators of the human race Grand Alliance. Junjae, Joel Make, Gijin, Young Yun, Wai Xian, and Wai Su. These are the 6 integration stage grand cultivators of the current human race Grand Alliance, excluding Han 1. They seem to flinch in surprise as they look at me. It's been a while, everyone from the Grand Cultivator Association. Ha ha ha. So it was you, Cultivator CEO. Junjae seems to be breaking out in a slight cold sweat, but then he smiles. However, I see his heart essence wildly fluctuating. You managed to escape from the ancient force realm, I see. We were actually planning to extract you soon, but you managed to get out on your own. Moreover, you reached the integration stage while in the ancient force realm? Haha, it seems you've truly earned the right to be called a grand cultivator now. Perhaps we should hold a celebration. Thank you for your kind words, but there's no time for that. I awkwardly smile, cutting off Junjae's attempt to avoid my wrath. There is a high possibility that a star-shattering stage entity is going to attack the human race Grand Alliance. We need to relocate the entire human race to another place immediately. If not, the entire human race territory will be completely destroyed today. At my words, they all look up at the sky. Ironically, the celestial energy is clear. But it's the truth. This is simply a matter in which an extremely high-ranking entity, such as the chief judge of the netherworld, is involved, so they can't read the celestial energy. It seems that due to the involvement of a high-ranking entity, the celestial energy cannot be read at this moment. But you all know it too, that we were unable to read the celestial energy concerning a certain entity that revealed itself on Thunder Spirit Island. At my words, they seem to exchange opinions via voice transmission and then nod. Indeed, I understand what you're saying. However, relocating the human race territory is a matter that requires great caution. Even if it's the word of Grand Cultivator CO, we must gather all the Grand Cultivators in their main bodies, perform collective foresight, submit a petition to the Sacred Master, and only after receiving a reply confirming the danger should we. I apologize, but there's no time for that. We must relocate the human race territory immediately, even if it's just one day earlier. To be honest, I find it hard to believe. But since you are a Grand Cultivator, I'm considering the procedures for your sake, so please bear with us. If this matter was so urgent that it required immediate attention upon your arrival, why didn't you notify us in advance? Jun Jae seems to be sternly reprimanding me, but I suppress the rising irritation and calmly open my mouth to speak. First, calm down and listen to what I have to say. I tried to inform you about this matter in advance. But Alliance Head Jun Jae, you cut off my contact right away and even prevented me from reaching out to the Human Race Grand Alliance. At my words, Jun Jae's mouth opens and closes before he awkwardly coughs. I'm sorry. I was in the middle of training my newly acquired lightning divine power, and the lightning within me acted up, causing me to accidentally cut off Cultivator CO's connection. But to immediately evacuate based on Cultivator CO's claim that a terrifying entity is descending, to be honest. And at that moment, Quajajajijic, a streak of red lightning seems to emerge from within me, followed by a terrifying voice that reverberates through the area. Don't spout, dog's hit. The lightning is whispering that your words are lies. Kururung. From within my domain, thunder roars as John Myung-hoon growls. He grinds his teeth and emerges from within my domain. Thud. John Myung-hoon's upper body crawls out from behind me, his blood-red lightning-filled eyes glaring at Jun Jae and the projections of the Grand Cultivator Association. These dog bastards are mocking us. The lightning is clearly whispering to me that you cut off the contact in a hurry, fearing Co Eun-hyun might return. Lying is one thing, but seeing you trash sitting on your hands while Co Eun-hyun is kindly running around to save your worthless lives makes my already rotten 5 viscera and 6 bowels twist. I can't stand it any longer. Barely containing the lightning, he threatens the Grand Cultivator Alliance. Co Eun-hyun is politely explaining the situation to you, yet it seems your stomachs are too bloated and your butts are too heavy to move. I'm warning you, stop with the disgusting lies and excuses and follow his instructions. If you don't, I'll tear you limb from limb and scatter your remains throughout the human race territory. At John Myung-hoon's murderous words, the expressions of the Grand Cultivator Association also darken. And who is this bastard? It looks like you've reached the integration stage, but it seems you're acting without knowing your place just because we're kind to Cultivator CO. Cultivator CO proved his strength back in the 4-axis stage. But do you think we're afraid of some nobody like you who crawled out of nowhere? Besides, it seems your main cultivation method involves lightning divine power, but each and every one of us gained lightning divine powers and enlightenment and lightning in general, so we're not particularly afraid of your lightning. Behave yourself. At those words, John Myung-hoon falls silent. Then, I see the veins bulging across his body. Co Eun-hyun. What? Red lightning crackles in all 4 directions around him as he opens his mouth. Let's just kill them all. I understand what John Myung-hoon is implying, knowing that he has been communicating his thoughts to our comrades via voice transmission. In any case, there's no way to drive out the human race from this area through persuasion alone. Therefore, with force, we will combine our strengths and expel the entire human race from this area. That, John Myung-hoon is saying, is the fastest and easiest way. Normally, I would have opposed it. Even if it took some time, I would have calmly explained the reasons, shown the evidence, and led them slowly. But right now, with my comrades massacred by the owner of Great Mountain, and knowing that Kong Min He will soon descend, I realize that I can't afford to waste time. I close my eyes briefly, opening them with an exhale. Then, black, ghostly energy and curses begin to emanate from around me. Alright, wooduk, wooduduk, wooduk. 19 heads sprout from my shoulders, and I become the Ghost King with 20 heads. The projections of the Grand Cultivators vanish, and 6 spatial rifts begin to form in their place. The human race's Grand Cultivators are gathering. The power I sense beyond the rifts are strong, as if they have significantly recovered from their injuries, and there is a subtle presence of lightning power, likely the knowledge and divine power they gained from facing the owner of heavenly punishment. Bulge writhe. My comrades emerge from within my domain. From behind me, the true form of Hong Fan, Co ran, and Shurho spring forth, followed by a gigantic Wei Shurhan and a devilized Yuemwa. At the same time, from my shoulders, John Myung-hoon in his two-head, six-armed lightning god form, and the starlight giant Oh Hyun-suk, who has now reached the pinnacle of the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great Method, emerge. From my chest, Bu Qianghua and her puppet, created by modifying the Dharma treasures and materials from Lofty Dragon's storage scroll, along with Kim Yun, appear. Woo-woom. I draw the colorless glass sword from my domain and hold it in my hand. From the integration stage onwards, one can directly retrieve items from their domain, so I can summon things from anywhere I desire without having to retrieve Dharma treasures from my mouth. Quajijijijijic. I can sense the clones of Y Ryangxian sending voice transmissions across the human race territory. I see sects loyal to the grand cultivators flying in from various places. Even most of the 6 major sects of the human race are heading this way. Even now, if you withdraw your Dharma treasures and divine powers and peacefully come with us to Heavenly Human Island, I will overlook your earlier rudeness. Co Unhyun. If you don't want to fight the entire human race, then even now, the entire human race, Woo-woom. The 3 great ultimates rise behind me. Now that I have entered the integration stage, the 3 great ultimates I summon exude a far more distinct and domineering aura than before. It is no longer like an active volcano, but more like watching the volcano erupt in real time. Now, the 3 great ultimates behind me are no longer just mere forms. As the 3 great ultimates rotate, they begin generating tangible physical force. Kugagagugagu. A whirlwind begins to blow around me due to the power of the 3 great ultimates. From the 40 gleams in my eyes, curses ignite and radiate. Under the influence of the curses, parts of my body begin to bulge and writhe as monsters begin to emerge from me. I let out a small chuckle. Of course, it's a small laugh, but with so many mouths, and perhaps because of the wind, my laughter sounds like the wailing of a cacophony of ghosts. No, this is indeed the wailing of ghosts. Buried within my chest are the grudges of the dead followers, having turned into ghosts. In order for such a horrific massacre to never happen again, amidst the ghostly wails, I open my mouth with hardened eyes. From now on, I will drive the entire human race out of this area. Whether she awakens in the Swiftwind domain or in the Black Ghost Valley's human race branch, it doesn't matter. Kong Min-hee will attack the human race first no matter what. After all, the souls that follow her the most are none other than those of the human race. Therefore, whether through persuasion or force, I must drive the human race out of here and force them to evacuate. Come at me, human race bastards. And so, the clash between me and the entire human race begins.